guys, this is Paige Pierce. I'm here for Physics of Flight, and today I'm going to talk to you about maximum distance. Now, what I'm doing when I'm throwing max distance is I'm throwing a really overstable long-range disc that's fast, so my Ballista Pros, on a nice angle like this. I'm putting the disc really high in the air, but to make up for that height, I have to make sure I turn my wrist and I put a lot of snap on it. The reason I'm doing so is so I get the full flight. You guys hear a lot of people saying full flight or S-shot or stuff like this. This is how the disc flies the furthest, is when you throw something overstable on a super turned angle and it pans as long as it can, but it still has enough time to get its full flight back out to the left. So if you don't get it high enough, after you get that initial turn, it's gonna hit the ground. This is why you have to get it high enough so it has time to correct itself in the air and finish out to the left. For me, I'm aiming really far at the left side of the fairway on that angle, so I have the entire middle and right side of the fairway to make the disc stretch before it comes back to the left. So one thing that's really important when you're throwing for max distance is the wind. What is it doing? You need to know this because it's gonna change the angle or the disc choice or where you're aiming. Some of them are going to help you. Some of them are gonna make it harder. Neither of these mean that you should or shouldn't do it. It's just something you have to think and adapt to. If it's a tailwind, it's going to make the disc fly further. It's gonna push it. So absolutely, let's go for max distance. If it's wide open and there's a tailwind, absolutely I will. If there's a headwind, it's gonna try to push the disc backwards and to flip it. So when this happens, it doesn't necessarily mean, okay, I can't go for max distance, but it does mean I have to adjust for that. So I can't put it quite as high. So I'm gonna throw more of a flatter, lower release, but I'm still gonna have that angle. It's just not gonna be as exaggerated. If it's ever pushing from right to left, I'm gonna have to put a little bit more of an angle on it than I think. And if it's pushing from left to right, I'm not gonna be able to put as much angle as I think, or else I'm gonna get an accidental roller. So make sure you test the wind before you throw this shot, but I would say the most effective way to throw max distance is from a slight tailwind or no wind at all. So when you're looking for max distance, make sure to account for all these things, and thank you guys for watching.
Whoa, got a big order going out today, huh?
I sure do.
Nice. Hey, Danny, what you working on?
Just a new website. It's looking pretty good.
Nice.
I finally got the baby to sleep.
Nice. Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of the Disc Golf Answerman. Damon asks about discs. I am recently
Yep. How do you spell that?
I was recently practicing putting and included my 2 West Side harps into the stack to get more repetitions in. I really enjoyed putting with these discs over my standard putters, which are P2s.
Great.
Because they felt better in my hand. My question is there anything wrong with putting with a Speed 4 disc? Or could you suggest a more traditional putting putter that feels similar and maybe less overstable?
Suspect. As far as feel goes, and it's a little less overstable.
Right.
It's not really.
Is the harp a putt-in approach?
Yeah.
It is. It says Speed 4, but let's get real for a second. The rim on a harp is very similar to all the 3 speed widths.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think just because it says Speed 4 on there doesn't mean you couldn't.
No, we used
or
the
shouldn't putt
speedometer
with
on it, and it said 4. So.
Oh man. Okay. Well, yeah, that's why we put that on there. I think if a disc works for you, use that disc.
Yeah.
plain and simple. It
Does the
doesn't
harp
matter
comes
if
in
it.
base plastic, right?
Oh yeah,
It comes
in
in
a lot of
majority
base
of the
plastics.
plastics.
But if you're looking for something that has a similar feel but not as overstable, gosh, you're not going to find much that's kind of like pretty squared on the edge like a harp that is more understable. The only thing I could think is like, a crown is less overstable than a harp.
I was thinking a pure too would be.
Yeah, I mean it's
a little more round. That's why I said suspect, because it is more of a square edge. It may be more difficult finding a suspect in base plastic, but
yep.
just go with the harp. It feels good in the hand.
Try it
If
out.
it's working well and you're jamming, who cares?
Who cares?
Excuse me, sir. Can you tell me how close I am to the nearest gas station?
Yeah, it's about a par 4 down Lincoln Street.
Pardon me, what?
Well, most people say it's a par 5, but I've played a lot of disc golf.
Never mind. Thanks.
Oakley has absolutely put the perfect angle on this. Just needs a skip. Just needs an ace. Oh my goodness, almost runs it in the basket. You'll love to see it. Dude, I'm talking to in the back with Eric Oakley here. I'll guide this real quick while we're waiting for Paige to get back. So we got
kind of like me, so this is actually my in the back.
Yeah, so hey, what's up guys? It's me, Eric Oakley. I throw hard, I got a good forehand, so check it out, okay? So we got a couple EMAC Truths here, good for like throwing forehands and throwing really hard. Then we got Felon, this one's cool. Then we got a Raider. I really like the Raider. I wish it was in Lucid, and I'll get it sometime. So that's just me, Eric Oakley. And then we got some Enforcers. But yeah, so we got a Justice here. Then some more Felons, and then in the sides we got some Felons, and yeah. So this has been me, Eric Oakley. Thank you for joining me for this TED Talk. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I think if we leave Yeah, I'm gonna have to call you back.
Why isn't anybody working?
We're on a 30-minute weather delay. Lots of lightning.
Of course.
Looks like more lightning. Another 30 minutes.
Hey there, disc golfers. Hope you're having an awesome day. One thing that we're going to start doing this year are going to be surprise bag checks with Team Discraft members. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our first one here. I'm going to give Haley King a call and let's see what she's got in her bag. I am here with Team Discraft's Haley King with a surprise bag check. So she didn't know this was going to happen. She had an hour-long drive until we could make this happen. So let's talk a little bit about what's inside your bag. So start out with putters. What are you putting with this season?
Okay, so I'm putting with the CT Challengers. They're pretty stiff.
Mm-hmm.
I like the grip on them, even though people think they don't have grip on them, but I like them. They fit nice in my hand and they fly how I want them to, so
Okay.
I don't think I'm interested.
Have you had a chance to check out the Lunas yet?
No, I haven't. I am going to the factory, and I heard they might have some misprints there, so
Okay.
I'm going to see if they do, and then I'll check them out.
All right, that's a score. Okay, throwing putters.
So for throwing putters, I have a zone and a roach. I actually left my other zone in my car, but for the roach, it's just very straight. I like it for turnovers, or I can hyzer flip them. They just go exactly where I want them to. And then for the zones, I have an ESP and my hailstorm zone, which is in the Z. And well, those are stable and they're very, very reliable, and I know where they're going every time.
Okay, score with the zone. What do you do for mid-ranges then?
For mid-ranges, I actually have 4 right now. I recently have added the Z Comets to my bag. I have 2 here. This green one is domey, so it's a little bit more stable, and I can hyzer flip these, and they just go dead straight. And then I use this reddish Comet for turnovers or big hyzer flips that just flip up to flat and turn over a little bit.
Okay, scenario for you here. You have to get rid of every mid-range in your bag but one. Which one are you keeping?
Okay, I'll keep my Glow Buzz.
Your Glow Buzz. Tell me why.
Yeah. Okay, so last year at Ledgestone, I had my HKB buzzes, and I lost one. And my best friend Barrett actually gave me Glow Buzz that was definitely a replacement, and it flew exactly the same, straight out the box. And I don't know, they just feel really good in my hand and fly exactly how I want them to. Very easy to feel like.
Okay, so Glow Buzz would be her one that she would keep. Let's move on to fairway drivers.
Alright, so I have quite a few fairway drivers. So my flippiest fairway drivers would be my Z Stalkers. This red one is very flippy. I use this for shots that I need to hyzer flip. This one is a longer Comet, and then this one is a longer Buzz, just because this one's so beat in. And yeah, they're very, very reliable.
I've never been a stalker person. Ever thrown stalkers.
I love them. You should definitely try them out. Very underrated fairway drivers.
So are they going to fit in between like my Undertakers and my Buzzes? Is that kind of the slot?
I've honestly never thrown an Undertaker, but
what?
I mean, yeah. I know. I feel like I'm the only Discraft person out there that hasn't thrown an Undertaker.
Okay. So are stalkers what your go-to fairways are then?
Yeah. For shots that I just need to go straight and just land really soft with no skip, they're definitely that perfect disc.
Okay.
So then I got my ESP Vultures. I chose the ESP Plastic because they beat in a little bit quicker, so they're easier to hyzer flip and just point and shoot where I want them to go. And they go far, so I like them.
I rock ESP Vulture too. It's the only Vulture I have. I really enjoy that disc. All right. Any other fairway drivers for us?
Yeah. So I also carry Predators, but I've also added the Raptors in my bag. So the Raptor might take over my Predator for me. I'm not too sure yet. I've been testing out the Raptor, and I'm really starting to like them. But my Predators, I've had both of these in my bag since I got sponsored by Discraft, and they're super overstable, exactly what I need to be in a fairway.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Awesome. All right. What do you have next for us?
Next, I got my distance drivers.
Ooh.
I have 3 Forces and 1 Big Z Nuke right now. So, I really like the Forces. This Team Stamp Force is a little bit more overstable than my other Forces, but they're just perfect. They're overstable, so I can get a good rip on them, and then pop it up flat and it'll turn a little bit, but then it'll just hyzer back and have a consistent finish. But I used my Big Z Nuke at Pro Worlds, and I don't know, I just fell in love with them, I guess. They just went so far, and I very, very much love them. They're good.
I liked the Big Z Nukes last year. I feel like last year they were like my bomber discs, but then I got my hands on the ESP Glow ones, and I just fell in love with them more than the Big Z ones.
Yeah, they go far.
They do.
Yeah.
Is that it for distance drivers?
Yep, that's it.
That is it. So there's our surprise in the bag with Haley King. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We're going to be doing a lot more like this. Comment down below. Let me know anything that was a surprise for you that she's bagging that maybe you're going to try or maybe you didn't expect to be in there. Anything you want to say, Haley, before we take off?
Thanks for watching and thanks for supporting me. I really appreciate it.
I'm sure we're going to see some awesome another series of Hailstorm discs this year. I know last year's were pretty sick.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So again, give the video a like. That thumbs up is awesome. Subscribe by turning that notification bell on. And of course, the number one thing is going to be make that putt.
Nice. Great kid.
This is the first run IPA.
Come visit us in Bend. You'll get fresh beer, you'll get some hospitality, and I guarantee you'll either see Val, Justin, or I.
Fresh as you can get it, right here.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2019 Portland Open presented by Bevel. I'm Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, and alongside me today, four-time Women's World Champion, Valerie Jenkins. Val, we're here in Portland. Welcome. What in the world can we expect today?
Well, hopefully not rain, but it does look like it's in the forecast. We are in Portland, and that's the reason that this course and this city is so green and beautiful. I'm excited to see this course. We haven't been back here for a huge tournament since the World Championships. Yeah. So there's not a lot that you can find on YouTube. So it's awesome to be introducing this course to all you viewers out there. And I'm excited for some good disc golf. There's a lot of OB. It's a very, very challenging course.
We're going to see it out there today. And like you said, we haven't really seen too much action out here since that 2014. And when we left here, it was very exciting. We saw one of the greatest playoffs in all time on the men's side between Ricky Wysocki and Paul McBeth. And then we saw, for the first time ever, her lone world title was crowned Katrina Allen here in 2014. So we'll see if some of that magic can be recreated. Katrina, of course, is here. We're going to watch her today. Ricky Wysocki won't have that same challenger in McBeth, but we know he's going to be challenged by a pretty healthy and deep field here on this course. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So we have Katrina Allen, Vanessa Van Dyken, Sarah Hokom, and Missy Gannon. So we're going to see how Missy handles the pressure being on this featured card. We've seen her earlier this season playing at the Disc Golf Pro Tours in the early season. And It's awesome to see Jeff Spring. He is the tournament director, flying in from all the way from Vermont.
Yep.
We've had him in the booth with us in Oregon before. He loves Oregon, clearly loves it because he traveled so far to run a tournament on this incredible course.
Yeah, the two of you, along with Dustin Keegan and Zoe Endyke and Jeff Spring. Let's throw it out to Jeff for the call.
The 2019 Portland Open, presented by Bevel Craft Brewing. My name's Jeff Spring. I'm the tournament director. Thanks for being here, folks. We're live with our feature FPO card. First on the tee, give it up for Sarah Hokom.
Hole 1 is 355 feet. It's a par 3. And as you can see from behind the tee, it's low ceiling. So players are going to have to get the distance and keep it low at the same time.
Hokom with the forehand here off the tee. Of course, that's your predominant method of style or throw. There are, I believe, 5 holes out here,
Next
Val.
on the tee for our 9
Here's
a.m.
Jeff.
tee
We'll be back in a
time,
moment.
Katrina Allen.
As Katrina's getting ready, I was just going to finish the thought that there are, I believe, 5 holes where the women will play from a slightly shorter tee, hole 1 being one of them. As you mentioned, Val, that low-hanging branches there, she kept it nice and low, maybe a little too low.
Third on the tee, Vanessa Van Dyken.
And Vanessa won a world championships the same year as Katrina. I watched her also tap in for her world title. She won the Am Worlds in 2014 in Minnesota.
It's a really nice throw just outside the circle.
Rounding out our lead card, Missy Gannon.
And this is Dynamic Disc's own Missy Gannon. Missy, I believe, was the feature, or she won her spot on here as a popular fan vote. So great to have Missy from Dynamic Disc. Dynamic Disc also helped presenting the broadcast here this weekend. So thank you to them. And she keeps it low and up the middle.
Let Dynamic Discs help distinguish the winners at your next event. We've got many options, from a mini disc to a full-size disc, and we can do custom wrapped baskets from the micro recruit all the way up to a veteran. We can help design your trophies, and we have discounted prices on larger orders. Our designs feature sharp graphics and vibrant colors. We have what it takes to set your event's winners apart, from their bags to their backyards. Learn all the ways we can help at dynamicdiscs.com.
And here we are back with Sarah Hokom for her second shot, choosing to go the backhand route. That was a far backhand for Sarah. Typically, we just see a nice little sidearm flick up to the basket. Looks like she left herself a little short, so that's going to be a bit of a tester, especially on the very first hole of a big tournament.
Yeah, if there's one thing you want to do on that very first hole, it's get it right next to the basket so there's no pressure on that very first putt of the day. And Sarah's going to have a little bit of a tester, as you mentioned. Yesterday, I saw her out practicing, and the only shots that I saw her throw were short, mid-range approaches. So it's kind of interesting. Maybe it's something she's really been focused on, outside of the tournaments.
That seems to be an underrated shot. I don't think a lot of players tend to focus on upshots, and I do think it's one of the most important things. People practice their putts, people practice driving, but if you can get your disc underneath the basket in your upshots, it's going to make your whole game come together. And here we have Missy Gannon lining up a big jump putt.
And Missy draws metal right on the center of the pole, just low. We'll have to continue to watch Missy throughout the day because I think one of the most exciting parts of her game is that long jumper. Seems to really get those dialed in. I think she's one of the best in the FPO field at that 45-foot range.
Oh,
yeah.
Speak of the devil.
Heck
I guess
yeah.
Vanessa heard you talking and said, hey, let me see what I can do. And yeah, that deserves the first replay of the day.
And the leg kick.
I love the
it.
body language. Nice.
And just walks away like she's been there and done that before. No problem for Vanessa Van Dyken. Great putt to start off the 2019 Portland Open. Sarah from 28.
Wow, that's going to be a drop-in bogey for Sarah. That's not a great start. This is one of the easier holes out on the course. We're going to see the OB really tighten up as we head through the course. Missed opportunity for her. That's a par for Katrina. Here we are. We're on to hole 2. It's a par 3, 425 feet. You can see there's OB on the left and the right. And hey, check out that red dot on the course map. That's the drone. That's the location of the drone as it flies. That's a cool addition. So down on the fairway, you can see the trees on the right-hand side. So if players choose to do a flip-up shot, they have to go underneath those trees. Otherwise, we might see a big sidearm out of Sarah choosing to go left out and bring it in. So there's a couple different options here, but players with the backhand, maybe that big Anheuser shot might be the safer play.
Vanessa Van Dyken will be first. Vanessa with a beautiful shot. I think just trying to keep it in the center of the fairway here at 425 feet. This is a really difficult hole to attack. FPO side, we know some of our longest throwers may be able to get up there and put themselves right inside the circle, but otherwise, I think this is a hole that you should walk up to, do whatever you need to do to keep it in the fairway, and then just simply have an easy walk-away 3. Or you could take some risks and let's see if that stands up and carries. Oh, and I think that might have been a good tree because that was getting stable. Now, there is a wall on that right side, and I'm not sure exactly where the wall and the OB intersect, if it's the exact same spot. Maybe she was even playing for, well, if I carry wide right, I'll actually just hit the wall and stay in bounds. So we'll have to double check on that OB line.
Yeah, that was a good play. This hole seems to be so wide open, but when you do look at that distance, it's really hard to get an Anheuser to clear those trees. And Miss Gannon, she's right in the middle of the fairway, so that'll be a fine upshot. Again, yeah, it's a far hole. But here's the sidearm from Sarah Hokom. Let's see if she can get the distance, pushing it over the OB on the left-hand side.
She almost flirts with it and brings it inside. She's going to be short, but that should be an easy up and down. We'll be back in a moment. And we're back with Missy Gannon, who's got a relatively routine approach shot. She's got a standstill that puts her inside 15 feet.
Of course, this looks so beautiful right now. It's one of the, it's an underrated course. I don't think a lot of local players play this because it is so challenging. The women are playing 5 shorter holes. It's still a par 66. So this course was made for championship disc golf, made for the big events. And so happy that Jeff Spring decided to highlight this course for this event.
Yeah, I feel like almost any time that we've seen a world championships at a course, when you come back to it for other events, hopefully everything is set. Maybe there's a tweak here and there, but clearly this is a stage that has been tried and true before. And Jeff and the efforts of Zoe and Dustin and yourself and Nate bring us back here to this big event for the first time in, like I said, a number of years, as Katrina has a pretty routine approach shot for herself as well.
When you hear about Portland, I mean, the first courses that come to mind are out at Milo McIver State Park for the Beaver State Fling. And that's been a consistently huge tournament year after year. But Portland has a great landscape for awesome disc golf courses. And this is just showcasing yet another one in the Portland city limits. Let's see if Vanessa can hit another big putt for us.
It looks like that branch or those limbs maybe were a little bit in her way. So we should see, hopefully, assuming Missy can get things started, it looks like we may see an all-par frame here. I think hopefully the women will be blessed throughout the rest of the day, or at least during this first round. There is a threat of rain that might come in during the latter, we'll say 1/3 of the round. But as of right now, the rain is held off, and Missy, unfortunately, missing that short putt. She's going to have a bogey.
And the thing about rain here, it doesn't come with a lot of thunder or lightning, so players will probably have to deal with the rain if it does come in again.
And Kat stares that one down, and she's in with the par. Vanessa making sure on the short one.
And tap in for bogey for Missy, and Sarah taps in her par. And we're off and running on to hole 3. Hole 3, par 4, 550 feet. And we can see as this drone creeps around the corner, the drive is all about putting yourself in a good landing position. This hole is about strategy and placement. So landing about right here gives you a good look at the basket as we head underneath the branches. The OB really tightens and bottlenecks in this spot. Players we see going over the bush to not have to deal with that technical bottleneck there. But here's the basket. A big hole, but it's really about putting yourself in a good position, setting yourself up for that second or third shot.
As we saw that preview, there's a little bit of a pinch point, and the players obviously can go straight through there, keeping themselves in bounds the entire way, or we'll see some players play out and around the OB, and that's where you can really rack up a number or two, is if you pull yourself out over that OB but don't get all the way back in. So we'll have to see what their strategy is and the position they put themselves in.
I think there's a lot of holes out here like that where you're throwing over OB the whole time. And so there could be those opportunities to get the big scores. And yeah, now that I'm saying it, I remember it's probably happened to me on a few times.
And Dyken inbounds on her tee shot. Here's Katrina Allen. That looks to be a little bit tight. And Katrina's going to find the OB on that left side.
Wow, that was a very aggressive line, going high, trying to bring it in tight around the corner. That really put her into a really tough position. And now for throwing her third shot, that's going to be maybe just a pitch out.
Yeah, she's still going to be obstructed from where she is because she didn't make it around the bend, as you're mentioning. And here's Hokom's forehand. I really like the stand-up motion on that, and that's going to finish in a great position for Sarah Hokom.
Oh, yeah, she's exactly on that corner, so she's going to be looking at that opening. And you can see off the tee that the fairway really tightens to where they're going to that landing zone. So it's a really technical shot off the tee.
Looks a little as well, and off on our second camera, we're going to see if the spotter is going to give us a confirmation. I'm pretty sure that is in fact out of bounds. We see the dreaded red flag come out, and just like with Katrina, that didn't make it around the bend. So she may have to exhaust a shot just to get out into the opening, and it almost feels like a double or even a triple punishment at that point. You've got the OB, plus you may need to pitch out for a shot.
Right.
That's going to make this first par 4 even more challenging.
Yeah, it's a tough shot to actually go for that off the tee. I think the best play is just to throw up the gut. And Sarah fortunately has the sidearm, so she's working her way left to right and lands herself in a good position. But I think Missy and Kat just put a little bit too much pressure on that drive, where I think it should be more of a placement shot.
And we can take a quick look at the scores. Of course, UDisc is here on site as they are at all the biggest events in the world. And we see, although we're very early in the very early goings, Vanessa Van Dyken with that 1 under, birdieing that first hole. She's technically in the tie for the lead, along with Holly Finley and Rebecca Cox. Rebecca Cox is already halfway through the course and is sitting at that 1 under. So one of the earlier cards to go out this morning, and she is playing very well. Again, sitting at 1 under. Katrina Allen with the even. Zoe Andyke, man, Zoe's doing it all this weekend. A little bit of work and a little bit of play. And then Paige Pierce, even through 6 holes. So we'll kind of pick apart those scores a little bit further as we take a look at the individual statistics. And if you want to follow along, you can do so on UDisc. You can even select your favorite player. There's an option for that, and it'll keep them pinned to the top of your UDisc app, and you can follow along with whoever your favorite player might be.
So that's just a really tight, sharp hyzer that Missy had to throw to get herself around that corner. This hole really shapes up to be more of a dog leg, but just really tight and narrow and technical. So I think this is a good play. I didn't see Missy walk up to see where she should land, but as an experienced player, Katrina's looking to see which part of the fairway she should land in now that she's kind of have to scramble to save herself on this hole. Even though they've put in the practice rounds, I'm sure she didn't practice from this position.
And she's letting the other caddies and helpers know that they can remove themselves from the woods, so there's not any possible leaves or distractions or anything from her next shot. She's going to play kind of a low hyzer skip shot, and that looks like it'll work just fine.
A lot of skip for how green and thick and lush the grass is.
There might be a little bit of dew or dampness that's out there as well, so maybe that's going to factor in. We, of course, can talk about humidity, and we're going to see quite a variance in weather today. I think we're talking about temperatures in the high 50s, low 60s. That chance of rain is looming probably in the next hour and a half or so. Let's hope that it somehow holds off. Tomorrow, I think we're going to have a very different story. I think we're looking at a little bit of sunshine, looking at warmer temperatures. The humidity might come up from that, but we'll see how the weather plays out throughout this weekend. Keep those umbrellas handy.
I've heard so many stories. It depends on what app you're looking at on your phone. I mean, I've heard all sorts of weather predictions from just about every player that I talk to. So all you can do is step outside and hope that the sun is shining and the raindrops are not falling.
Be prepared, whatever it is, whatever route or whatever's going to unfold, just be prepared for it all. As we watch Sarah Hokom lining up her forehand. It looks like Robin is on the cart today. And there's that pinch point. We'll see if she comes short of it. It looks like it might have got caught up on that left side and didn't find its way back in bounds. You have to be fully committed. That's really the best way you can word it. You have to decide, are you going all the way through that gap and trying to get close to the basket? Because if you're not, then just lay up short of the pinch point and then throw up to the basket for your third shot and just play for that. And that's exactly what Vanessa's doing right here. She's like, I'm not going to mess with that pinch point, and instead I'm going to make my next approach shot very easy and walk away with a 4. I love the play.
Yeah, this is a really good view from the basket, looking back on the players to see how small the fairway really gets right there. And I mean, you have to throw a stable disc and work a complete S shot with OB surrounding the basket all around. And so, yeah, I think the layup very, very well done, Vanessa. But Sarah with the, I mean, she has that type of throw to go for shots like that. We'll see how she ended up. It was clear out of bounds. Nifty's in a good spot. Might have to do a little bit of a turnover.
Yeah, and I like that shot. Again, fully committed. You still have to worry, however, about the gap 15 or 20 feet up in the air as that kind of closes in on you there. But that was a pretty solid shot there by Mitzi. I expect Katrina to execute this.
Hanging on the left-hand side, but manages to stay in bounds. We're going to see a really good visual of that long grass. It is out of bounds on just about every hole out here. So I think that really makes the fairways shine, but highlights how much out of bounds there is on this course.
And here in the early goings of the round, we see that this is in fact playing as the second hardest hole. So as about half of the field is at hole 9 or earlier so far, this is coming in as one of the hardest holes on the course, and really no surprise.
And really, it's the first hole that the players are finding so much out of bounds. So the scores can really just start to stack up. And we're seeing Hokom as she's walking up to her disc, and immediately she's looking in the tall grass, so she is out of bounds. We'll be on that corner, so she'll have to look at a putt.
It looks like Hokom has brought herself back in the 1 meter, and she's going to a little backhand approach, and this one more effective than we saw in hole 1. She's underneath the pin.
Missy Gannon putting for bogey after the out of bounds off the tee. She's at about 45 feet.
And Missy gives it a run, and that one somewhat rolls away. A little bit more of a tester than she'd want coming back from there.
We can see the tall weeds just in front of the camera. So our cameraman is just a step or two in the tall grass. Show how close that out of bounds behind the basket. Katrina also putting for bogey.
And I need to check the wind. I just let out my hair.
Disc golf is 90% mental. The other 10% also mental.
If you want to make new friends on the course, pick up someone's disc in the fairway by accident.
Stay getting birdies, my friends.
And Missy with a little bit of some putting woes here. The last time, maybe she was trying to adjust from what we saw in the previous hole where she was a little bit low on her short putt. This time just a bit high, hits off the band.
This is Vanessa Van Dyken putting for par. Really well executed hole from Vanessa. She's playing really steady off the bat. And that's hole 3. We're on to hole 4. Hole 4, par 3, 295 feet. You can tell from the course map that there is out of bounds all around. Don't think it comes into play too much, but you have to worry about big pine trees surrounding the basket on the right and the left. So there's just a little bit of a window to get your disc parked underneath the basket. Players hanging it out a little bit to the right-hand side, and that makes putting really difficult. It's a short hole, so players should expect to get that birdie, but the trees really come into play. So hopefully they give themselves an open look at a putt here.
Well, so far today, we've seen 4 birdies here on hole number 4. And Vanessa with the honors.
This is just about the straight shot. So choosing a disc just to gun it at the basket. And if it comes back, that's going to be a perfect shot. Nice shot from Vanessa.
I'm going to at least call that our 5th birdie.
Exactly. That's when you got to watch it. You don't hit it on the basket. She is parked.
I believe that was a vulture by Vanessa Van Dyken. Oh, and Katrina flirting with that OB. It looks like that might be out of bounds, but of course we're going to have to get an official marking. It's going to be very close. We'll see if maybe somebody's got some string or something so that they can draw it across those 2 red stakes to determine if that's inbounds or not. Good news for her is whether or not it's a really short putt, and if it is OB, she maybe still be able to save the par.
And from going to the players meeting, I know that if they do have string, it is the fairway side of that stake considered inbounds. It's not the stake as a whole. The stake line is out of bounds still, so you have to cross into the fairway. Missy taking it off to the right, but that's got a sharp angle. Not bad. She's on circle's edge, but not even risking going out of bounds.
And welcome back. Looks like our group is trying to determine the inbounds or out of bounds status. Looks like Sarah Hokom has in fact found herself out of bounds. She's going to bring it in up to 1 meter.
And this hole just forces players to go for it. The distance is relatively short, under 300 feet, so reachable from all of the FPO field. But it's all about choosing the right disc, and Sarah's just gonna lay up for a bogey. You know that Missy Gannon is just outside the circle.
By checking UDisc, I see that earlier Paige Pierce had also gone out of bounds. However, she saved the par by making the putt from about circle's edge. Putt by Missy Gannon.
That was huge. Nice save for her. That could be the start of a little bit of momentum that she needed. And immediately she's going to check out Kat's disc. This is really close.
At very quick glance, that looks OB to me, but we'll see if we can hear what they're saying. We spoke of preparation earlier. Here's Sarah with the string.
As close as it gets.
Yep.
But it looks
And it will be Katrina's saying, well, it looks safe, but unfortunately for her, the string was pulled out and it looks like she's going to be out of bounds. Now, she does have the opportunity to save her par here. This is a relatively short putt for Katrina. And she's done just that. So relatively unscathed, I guess we could say on that.
Love getting outside and challenging yourself to become better? How about spending time with family and friends, or just marveling at the pure joy of flight? Then you've come to the right place at the right time. Join the PDGA.
Someone was able to drop in that bogey. And that's Vanessa, CTP and a birdie for her. And we are on to hole 5. Now this hole is very interesting. Hole 5, par 3, 315 feet. You can see that side hill. I think that's where it gets a little tricky on what type of shot you're going to throw. For me, I would choose to throw an Anheuser shot, an understable disc, trying to lay myself out in the open. There's OB that surrounds both the left-hand side and the right-hand side of the basket. But just the shape of this hole really pulls discs to the left, especially for the backhand player. I think Sarah Hokom with her sidearm, she's got the advantage on this type of shot. But we're going to see the men play from a longer tee on this one. It's more of a dog leg, which I remember playing back at Worlds. But I think this is a good change up for the women's division. Make it a little bit more reachable. A lot of that comes.
Well, and here's the situations where I think they really have to be committed to their game plan. Are they going to try and attack this basket? You're going to bring in the OB on the left side, which you said, tries to pull in those discs, or maybe turn something over too far to the right side, or maybe even turn something over that cut rolls and finds themselves moving left. Really committed. I personally think if you're not confident in, put your there in the open, even if it's 250 feet, have the 60-foot layup and walk away with a 3 here. Or you could just be dialed like Vanessa Van Dyken, playing the great turnover and putting herself inside the circle. She's left with less than 20 feet. And Vanessa Van Dyken is just rolling here in the first 4 what did I say, 5?
you obsessed with disc golf? If so, this is for you. DiscGolfBoxes.com. Premium hand-picked products shipped to your door every month. It's easy. 1. Pick your box size, the par, birdie, or ace. 2. Choose the brand of disc you would like. 3. Fill out the survey so we know exactly what you like. Go now to DiscGolfBoxes.com and sign up today. Use coupon code DGPT to save 10% on your first box. Go to DiscGolfBoxes.com to get your monthly box of disc golf awesomeness.
This is a big putt for Katrina. The OB is close behind the basket, slightly sloping toward the out of bounds, but looks like she's running it. And it stays inbounds. She saw the window of opportunity and trying to make up for the bogey she had on hole 3. I think this is a little bit better of a view of the basket. I think Missy can absolutely be more aggressive on her putt.
Another outside the circle putt there for Missy Gannon.
That was huge. I was about to question the straddle stance. I mean, it seemed like nothing was in her way, but she really got her legs behind it and was able to get enough power to the basket. And another park job for Vanessa. This is her birdie putt.
Oh, and just low. Vanessa not able to convert here on hole number 5. Quick tap in, but that's going to be a missed opportunity for her.
And here we are back. This is Sarah Hokom for par. And we saw those hot scores pop up, and we know that this featured card here is only on hole 5, but that would have put Vanessa at 3 under. But unfortunately, she gets a par there, and we're on to hole 6. Par 3, 270 feet. And here's one of those holes. If we look at the course map, the disc has to fly out of bounds, clearing out of bounds twice. You really need to be sure that you get this disc in bounds. We'll see players throwing up the gut between the 2 bushes there, or possibly around. If you play the right-hand side and bring it in to the left, I think that's a safer shot. You can get a little bit more distance on it. I think it's easier to control the distance from that hyzer angle rather than just a straight shot. But we've got an elevated basket, and this hole plays slightly uphill. So it's only 270 feet, but it plays more like 300, 320. So you really have to put a move on it.
Well, and I was going to say the one mistake you don't want to make here is to come up short. So, like you were just mentioning, it's 270. Give it at least 300 feet of power so that you know you're going to clear all the out of bounds that you need to, and then hopefully that'll get you right next to the pin. We've seen 37% of our field, as in 7 women, have birdied this hole thus far, coming in as one of the easiest holes on the course. And Missy Gannon would like to echo that sentiment as she's gone just deep of the pin, at least 20 feet past, but that's a really good position for Missy Gannon.
This hole is as daunting as if you were throwing over water the whole time. There's so much out of bounds between the player and the basket.
And that turns over, and it looks like it's fading back right next to the pin. Another park job for Vanessa Van Dyken, who feels just dialed today.
My jaw is dropped. She has perfected on the last 3 drives. Nice drive. Let's see if Katrina can follow that up. That same line.
Like the angle. We'll see if it finishes. Not quite the Heiser finish, but she'll have a putt from there. And I think back to a few years ago as the Worlds was wrapping up, I believe we saw back-to-back medal hits on this hole. I know I was out recording on the FPO side, and I feel like there was at least 2 out of the 4 women had hit medal on this hole. Maybe it was Ragna that had hit right off the top of the basket. This is a great one to go for one of those ace runs, as Hokom just fights over the OB, and she's inside the circle. We'll be back in a moment.
See the tree just on the right of Katrina. Wow. That was a tough position for that putt, but she made it look effortless. Seems like she's a little relieved as she walks up to the basket.
I was just thinking that maybe a little bit of a sigh. And we've got all 4 competitors with great looks at birdie here. This is Sarah Hokom. Oh, and not enough loft, just off the edge. Hokom trying to find that comfort zone here in the early goings.
She has 3 bogeys already, and we're only on hole 6. So she needs to get that putter fired up. Missy Gannon, a little putt back toward the basket for birdie.
And Vanessa with the birdie. Val, if she keeps up this pace, she's going to be 27 under at the end of the weekend.
That sounds awesome. I'm sure that's on her mind too. Consistent golf and racking up as many birdies as possible as we head into a little bit more of the teeth of the course. They're going to chomp down. We're on to hole 7. It's a par 5, 825 feet. The first drive, I mean, it's got to be a crush. You want to stay away from the right-hand side of the fairway where the trees really line up. It's a little bit more open on the left-hand side. It's landing about here, putting yourself in a good position for your second drive, hopefully landing yourself down into this lower part of the fairway. We're going to slowly creep up to the basket here. And we see that there's out of bounds all around, but it's really about staying in the middle of the fairway and staying away from the trees to give yourself a good look at par. I think this is a good opportunity for birdie if you're able to do that.
Well, and I know we kind of sound like a broken record, but there's both OB on the left and on the right. This time, the right side, whether it's the road or the pathway that might be way off to the right, you can find it if you get a little squirrely with your shot. And then if anything leaks left, as you're a righty backhand player, if it leaks off to that left side, you can very easily find the tall grass over there. And if you're on that left side, as we saw way back in 2014, you really have a tough time getting a good look back out to the basket or to the fairway. It's really protected on that left side if you get too far over there.
And I think we did play this position in the U.S. women's tournament, but this is not the same basket position we played at Worlds. And just looking back on a YouTube video last night, after you get to the basket, there was another 80 feet beyond that. You see a fence line, and it was up on this little knoll. So after you've already played about 800 feet, it just perched the basket on this hill, OB all around. It was a really tough basket position.
And Vanessa's heads off to the left. It tries to fight its way back out to the fairway. It doesn't quite do it. So she's going to have a little work to do. And as you were mentioning a moment ago, yeah, this is the spoiler alert. This is where the playoff ended between Ricky and Paul all those years ago, to that basket mounted up on that hillside. And so we're playing to a slightly shorter position. The squirrel trying to get in on that action. But Katrina is right in the middle of the fairway. Of course, I would say that's, I mean, it's all too obvious. That's exactly what you want to do here. But I think it's paramount here, maybe even more so than other holes on this course.
Nice. Sarah playing off to the left-hand side, working that disc, and right in the middle of the fairway with the rest of the group. We'll catch up with them farther down the fairway.
Disc golf is a relatively young sport, but its popularity makes it one of the fastest growing pastimes in the world. The PDGA is a not-for-profit, worldwide player organization dedicated to promoting the sport. Like a long drive off the tee, disc golf is soaring. So don't just be a witness to disc golf's explosive growth, be a part of it. Join the PDGA.
And welcome back, Vanessa Van Dyken, throwing her shot from the left side of the fairway. It looks like she's got a little more room than I thought she'd have over there.
Yeah, I would agree. I thought she was a little bit more tucked underneath that Douglas fir. But it works its way back in after hanging out to the right-hand side. Again, you do not want to be near those trees. It seems that those were planted back in the day because they're so perfectly spaced apart to create this line. And so if you find yourself over there, it's tough to find a window back to the fairway. But Vanessa does not even have to worry about it for this round. We see Hokom there in the distance, wiping off her disc, so it is a little bit wet on the course. We got a lot of rain for yesterday's practice rounds. It was a little on and off, but when it came down, it was dumping. So the course is pretty soggy.
Hokom's forehand stands up and is pushing that right side, but it looks like it should be okay. Now, she may have to contend with one or two of those trees to frame up a window for her on her next shot, but she did get all of that distance with just a little bit of a flare at the end, so she should be all right. A moment ago, we saw Sarah Hokom, of course, part of Team MVP. Great to see we have 4 different companies all represented here during our feature card, with Vanessa Van Dyken, of course, with Discraft, Katrina Allen with Prodigy, Missy Gannon with DD, and Sarah Hokom with MVP. All right, so I hit a tree, late in the flight, but not too bad there for Katrina. And she didn't get any crazy kick off to the right or left side, so she should be fine there.
So this is a good view. We're going to see Missy lining up a shot. It's just a straight shot for her. You don't want to hyzer it too much to the left. Just landing it right in the middle of the fairway would be ideal.
Quite effective by Missy Gannon. We'll be back in a moment.
At Dynamic Discs, we offer affordable custom stamping to help your company, club, event, or tour stand out from the rest. We can use your own design, or we'll work with you to design a stamp that captures the tone of your event. We'll get your discs stamped quickly and on their way within 3 weeks. If you're ordering for an event, you may qualify for one of our sponsorship tiers as well. Discs are listed at our best pricing with a minimum 50 disc order with a 10 disc minimum per mold. We have junior and mini discs available as well. For all the information you need, head over to dynamicdiscs.com or email custom@dynamicdiscs.com.
When I need to check the wind, I just let out my hair.
Disc golf is 90% mental. The other 10% also mental.
If you want to make new friends on the course, pick up someone's disc in the fairway by accident.
Stay getting birdies, my friends.
Welcome back. We are here on hole number 7. Terry Miller along with Valerie Jenkins. Val, excited to be here for another iteration here on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. A few weeks ago, we saw some fireworks and some sweet action taking place over in San Francisco, and this is all part of that West Coast swing. Just last weekend, we also saw most of these players at the Santa Cruz Masters Cup, and you've been here on the West Coast for a number of years now, and of course just opened the brewery up in Bend, and it's got to be great to have everyone on this side of the country.
It is, and I know the players enjoy it too. There's just so much to do here. Oh, as we see Vanessa peeling it off to the left, that's going to be out of bounds. But there is so much to do on the West Coast. So many adventures. I mean, disc golfers, as they're traveling, they're basically camping along the way, but finding awesome little natural spots along the coast or in the woods or up in the mountains. There's so much that Oregon especially and everywhere in the Northwest has to offer. And we haven't mentioned it yet, but typically our studio, our Disc Golf Pro Tour studio, is in Bend where we live, but we are here actually on site at the tournament here in Portland. So that's really fun. I mean, we're not on the course. We're actually nice and dry in the studio, but it's fun to be here and fun to be in the action, talk to the players, be at the players meeting. You know, it's those things that we miss not being on tour.
Well, and last night was the opening of the Rose Festival, and you and Nate, along with Ricky Wysocki, all throwing discs out into the crowd, and everyone talking about and promoting the fact that disc golf is being played here in Portland this weekend. It's an awesome place to be, great place for disc golf, and Sarah Hokom's lining up her forehand, trying to play the skip. Maybe she would have liked it to move a little bit more forward. It skipped kind of straight up on her. And we also have to, of course, thank both Discraft and Bevel. You guys are huge supporting sponsors of this tournament. people have a really unique opportunity to come out and partake in your first ever canned beer later on this afternoon. Is that right?
That's right. We actually just released the cans at the tap room in Bend this morning, and then we'll be releasing the cans for sale after the last putt drops, about 15 minutes after the last putt drops. So Nate will head his way back to Tournament Central after commentating with you this afternoon. So that'll be fun. The cans turned out great. It's fun to be here and support the sport that got us to where we are today.
Well, and I'm sure plenty of people are going to continue to ask, when do you guys get out and play disc golf, because you're so involved with the Brewing, as we just watched Katrina throw a really great approach shot. People even are clamoring for you guys on the board. They want to see both you and Nate out on the course, but you guys have work to do.
Yeah, I think we answered that question about 100 times yesterday, and I expect that to quadruple today as we see more people. But wow, look at this shot here by Missy. Nice upshot. But we have not even had a chance to get out to a course other than, literally being out at this tournament is probably the first time we've been surrounded by disc golf in quite a while. We've been fully immersed in the construction and now the brewing phase and having the tap room up and running. So there's been no time. When we have time, we take a nap. Or when we have time, we fit in commentary.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
You provide the service to the Disc Golf Pro Tour. As we're watching a few of the stats pop up, hole 7, no surprise, coming in right now is the 4th hardest hole on the course at the moment. That's not really a shocker, as we're watching all the women play with both the left and the right side fairways. Sarah Hokom is lining up her shot. We saw a little bit earlier that Vanessa Van Dyken had slipped out of bounds on the left side. However, she's almost pin high. So if she can convert on her putt, she might be able to still walk away with a par here. Vanessa Van Dyken has been off to a great start, birdieing 3 out of the first 6 holes. And this looks like Hokom is lining up a jumper. She's outside a circle too. So this is a full, probably 75, maybe even 85 feet for her. And it plays a little bit downhill. She's got to make sure that if she's going at this, she doesn't want it to carry too far past the pin, because there's a little down slope.
Wow, she was going for that. I was thinking that was just kind of one of those psych out jump putt, looking like a jump putt, but just a layup. But she was running for that one. That would have been huge. And we're going to make our way over to see where Vanessa is going to be taking her fourth shot after counting the out of bounds. And look, she's almost basket high.
Yeah, and I was just wondering if that tree that we see in the center of the frame right now would come into play. And it doesn't look like it will. It looks like she is off to her left far enough, so it shouldn't be a problem there. And this is at least 45 feet. We see the 10-meter circle.
That was
so close.
Dead center, just another inch or two, and that would have been in. So Vanessa's still clearly feeling it, even though that shot trickled out of bounds. This is the first run IPA.
Come visit us in Bend. You'll get fresh beer. You'll get some hospitality, and I guarantee you'll either see Val, Justin, or I.
Fresh as you can get it, right here. Par putt for Sarah Hokom. And we're going to see Vanessa clean up. But then we're going to see Missy just dropping in for her 4th birdie in a row. So Missy had a little bit of struggles in the first 3 holes, but has really picked it up. And so she has got to be happy with that. Katrina also walks away with a birdie. And we are headed to hole 8 Hole 8, 315 feet. This is a par 3. And this one is about the placement as well. There's out of bounds that you see the drone flying over all this tall grass. And this was a controversial hole in the World Championship for the MPO field. But you see that these scraggly dead trees, those ones will really hang up your disc and grab them and drop them in the out of bounds. So the Anheuser shot or the sidearm working from left to right is really the play. We might see, I'm not sure what that looks like on throwing the right-hand hyzer, but those trees are really tall. So I'd expect to see players still using that left side of the fairway as their aiming point.
Well, this one really makes me think back to what we saw a few holes ago on hole number 6. You have to be fully committed. You have to decide, are you going, all the way for the green, or do you want to just find some spot that you're comfortable laying up to? And if you're going for it, make sure you give it everything that you need to clear that area so that there won't be any controversial calls or any kind of close calls with that OB area. We're also going to be checking in with the scores. You mentioned a moment ago, Missy carding her 4th birdie in a row after kind of a rough start. But Paige Pierce is also on a tear. Paige now has carded 5 consecutive birdies. Holes 6 through 10, 5 consecutive birdies. She started off the tournament with a bogey on 1, has been clean since then, and then, like we said, 5 in a row. So Paige, just a few moments ago, jumped up into the lead as she passed Vanessa Van Dyken, who took her lone bogey on the previous hole. And here's Missy after, like you said, 4 consecutive birdies.
I really don't think there's an option to lay up on this hole. You just have to go for it. And they give her the green flag, so that was awesome. Even though she got a little bit hung up by those trees, able to trickle on the other side, on the fairway side.
I believe this is a mid that we're seeing from Katrina, and very early getting that green flag, an enthusiastic green flag. You got to love those. No second guessing that when you're on the tee. When you see that flag just rip right up into the air, you're like, all right, that was clearly inbounds.
And you can tell she just had so much trust in that disc. I mean, threw it at almost a sharp hyzer. That was a very understable mid-range. Here's the sidearm from Hokom. Big advantage to have a sidearm on this hole, and perfect shot. Another very excited green flag wave. I mean, there's 2 spotters on this hole. It's a short hole, but that means how much OB there is.
Let's see if that has enough turn. It looks like it does. The spotters are watching very intently. It's carrying left. Oh, and it clears over the initial zone. And so the spotter has now put up the X. And what that usually means is that the spotter is unsure of the call. We'll be back and explain that in a few moments. And welcome back. We're here on hole number 8. And as we were leaving for commercial break, we saw the spotter give an X. And what that typically means at most of our bigger tournaments is that the spotter is unsure or isn't willing necessarily to make the call as to whether a player is inbounds or out. And they really just want to leave it up to the group to make that decision, rather than possibly either get someone's hopes up or possibly make an incorrect call. I like the move there. Just put up the X and then let the group come over and make the final decision. And Val, to us, it seemed like it looked out of bounds, but again, you'd hate to make the incorrect call. So let the group just move on over and get it figured out.
So I'm unsure, and maybe they're unsure as well. That's why they're hanging out on that side. But according to the T sign, it says OB throws have the option to be played 1 meter from where they were last crossed in bounds, which is typical OB rules, or play it from the drop zone. And so I think players would choose to play it from the drop zone if they went out of bounds immediately off the tee, only would take it about 20 feet up. But Vanessa cleared that other side. And it's interesting to me that they're not playing it as an island out of bounds. The map there is out of island, so you have to land on the back of it.
And it sounds like the discussion was, quite brief. And we're going to find, I believe, that Vanessa is out of bounds. She's going to bring it in up to 1 meter.
And so, yep, that was clearly out of bounds for Vanessa. Just going to lay up there.
So although Vanessa off to a really good start, getting 3 out of the first 6, she's now struggled here on holes 7 and 8, taking back-to-back bogeys.
And the OB only gets tighter as we continue to play this course. And so this really just plays as just a little bit of a warm-up.
Looks to be about 38, maybe 40 feet. Oh, and she knew it.
She did know it. That deserves a Zuka replay. Let's take a look at that and let's see her reaction. I mean, already reaching for the mini before it's in.
No big deal. Missy Gannon, great putt, and that is going to be her 5th birdie in a row. Missy Gannon just rolling here. Here's Katrina Allen for birdie. And Katrina off the top band and out. Her putt has been dialed in so far today, so it's kind of surprising to see her make that mistake. And Sarah Hokom is looking to get herself on pace.
Hi guys, I'm Alyssa Van Lannen. You've probably seen me hiding in front of the tee pad or laying in the bushes trying to get the best shot. For the best moments in disc golf on and off the course through my photos and videos, check out patreon.com/Alyssa Van Lannen.
And there's Vanessa with a bogey putt, and Katrina taps in her par. And we're going to move over. Checking quality assurance check on that basket.
QA on there. Here's hole 9, Val. What are they trying to do?
Hole 9, it's a par 4, 515 feet. And just take a look at that course map. I mean, there's OB all over the place. But first, drives need to land in this more open, circular part of the fairway where the grass is cut short, so you can visibly see where the out of bounds is. It narrows in a little bit, but their second shots are going to clear that and hoping to lay right under the basket. And I think this is another good birdie opportunity. It's interesting they make it a par 4. I mean, it is 500 feet, but this is very approachable for a birdie.
Well, and we see the elevated basket also here as the players are moving over. So far, I want to talk a little bit about the pace that we've seen The women starting off at 9 o'clock. It's now about 10:15 local time. I'm still trying to adjust to this West Coast time myself. But as we're almost to the halfway point, seeing that the round is moving along quite swiftly, I think we're looking at 23 women in the division. So they all teed off just before 8 a.m. And things have been moving along great. And I think that kind of helps with the mentality, maybe a little bit of your confidence, helps with your flow. Still teeing early morning. The women have been doing that for the last couple of years. Did you ever have a preference? Some people like playing earlier. Some people like playing later. How about yourself when you're out there?
I always liked playing earlier. I always felt like I played my best rounds in the morning. It's the first thing you're doing. It's tough when you're playing those afternoon rounds and you have all day to kind of prep and figure out what the timing of when you're going to eat, when you're going to get up, like all those things. And I like playing in the morning.
Okay.
Get the job done right off the bat.
That's right. Taking care of business. Well, here is Missy Gannon, who clearly has been taking care of business. She's got 5 birdies in a row. Here she is on the tee of hole 9.
And very nicely done. That is that circular part of the fairway, wide open, right in the middle. Perfect positioning for her second shot. What a beautiful view right here of Sarah Hokom on the tee. Springtime in Portland, Oregon. Everything is in bloom.
Turned over a bit early for Hokom. She looks uncertain herself. And it looks like our spotter is going to give us the green flag. You see also the wind pickup. If you look at the bushes off to the left side of Katrina, I think that's the most we've seen. And this is also probably the most wide open hole that they've played thus far. This and maybe the previous hole. And I like the line here by Katrina. And just getting it past Missy's by a few feet.
And the location of this course, it sets up for wind. We are right on the Columbia River, and the Columbia River is really well known for windsurfing and kite surfing. It's almost world renowned for those sports. So the wind really picks up in this area. And as the afternoon goes on, I would expect to see the men having to deal with a little bit more of that. But here is Vanessa's shot. And right in the center she goes, and we will catch up with them in the fairway.
Zuka is now producing limited edition color choices. Zuka can add custom embroidery to the front and/or sides of the bag. Zuka is now producing limited edition color choices. Zuka can add custom embroidery to the front and/or sides of the bag.
The Raptor was created for a specific shot, a specific distance, and especially comfort. A lot of thought went into the design of the Raptor. We wanted to make a disc comparable to the Zone that just went a little bit further with that consistency. And with the Raptor, I really feel like we accomplished that.
Welcome back. We have Sarah Hokom. She seems to be in the one little alleyway that she can find on that inside the bush that she hit on the left side of the fairway. She's lining up a forehand roller.
Ooh, this is risky.
And it looks like it will sit down, but giving us a good relative positioning there, as she is just where the other women had landed their drives. So Sarah Hokom exhausting a stroke just to catch up to them here.
It's a well-placed bunker right there. I mean, it's not out of bounds, but it does just get in the way. I mean, it's basically the only thing in the middle of the fairway, and it does hang up one of our world's best players. Sarah Hokom actually won the women's nationals that happened here in Portland on this course. So she is a champion on this course. And as you mentioned earlier, Katrina Allen, this is where she won her world title. So this is all about just judging the distance from this spot, throwing your second shot, picking a point in the sky and spiking it into the basket. Vanessa is on point.
For a moment there, flashing just in front of the basket. Thought she was trying to ring up the eagle here on hole 9. I'm going to have to guess. I haven't cheated. I'm going to guess that hole 9 might be playing as one of the easier holes out here. I'm going to head out to UDisc and see if that happens to be true or not.
And Johnny V helping us out with the stats, pulling them up from UDisc. Playing as the 12th hardest.
And Missy just offline with that. That was a mistake I wasn't expecting to see from her. She had a wide open approach shot there, and she just held on to that one too long and carried off to that right side. Now Hokom trying to save the par.
The landing area here is huge. I mean, these players should be landing it inbounds from this shot, but Sarah playing it a little risky as well, but she is inbounds. Katrina just going for the straight ahead shot.
And matching Vanessa's shot just a foot or two behind it. So great approach there by Katrina Allen.
I remember practicing this course when the course was basically first put in, and I mean, you see so much out of bounds, you see so much tall grass, but in that tall grass is blackberry bushes and all sorts of thorns, so you really don't even want to play in there. But I do remember practicing, and you know, we're moving our discs into the inbounds so we can play from our shot and really get a good practice in. And I remember seeing some amateur players. You know, you typically see those players just avoiding all the out of bounds and playing wherever their disc lies. I'm going, you're crazy. Just take it in this short grass. But here's Missy, after throwing out of bounds, has to take it still on the short side of the fairway. But good adjustment, nearly running at the cage.
Yeah, now she's going to be left with that comeback putt. Now, we know that she is feeling her putting stroke. However, you know, when you've struggled down this fairway and then you just threw that OB shot, the last thing that you want to have is a little bit of a tester coming back. So we'll see if some of that confidence that's built up over the last 4 or 5 birdies can translate here to her converting on this putt, because now she's looking at giving a few back to the course.
Right, and there's so much to be said about the mental game of disc golf, and just a little bit of an off shot like she just had could rattle a player. But let's see if she has that experience behind her to talk herself back into it and get that putt in the basket. Here is Sarah Hokom. This would be for birdie if she makes it.
And Hokom's actually in for her par. She had that shot off on that left side. So Hokom will take the 4.
And I'm so thankful to have co-hosts like you and Nate, because I can't count, clearly.
Hey, let me tell you, I have plenty of mistakes lined up for the rest of the weekend. So don't worry. I'm sure you'll cover me plenty.
But here's Missy. She needs to save this putt right here. Get herself back on track.
And I need to check the wind. I just let out my hair.
Disc golf is 90% mental. The other 10% also mental.
If you want to make new friends on the course, pick up someone's disc in the fairway by accident.
Stay getting birdies, my friends.
And Vanessa with authority, even from short range.
So that's a birdie for Vanessa, a birdie for Katrina. Double bogey for Missy right there. And Hokom with a par. We're now moving on to hole 10. Hole 10 is a par 3, 295 feet. This hole is so tricky. Maybe not for a sidearm player, but it plays from left to right. We're going to see the basket tucked right along that tree line on the right-hand side. There's OB all along the left-hand side. So backhand throwers really have to work that turnover nice and slow as to stay away from that out of bounds on the left-hand side. But the out of bounds creeps in right behind the basket. So a little bit too much turn could send you sailing out of bounds. I think Hokom again has the advantage on this tricky shot, but from when I played it last, much more grown in. So it's going to be fun to see these players and see how they dial in a shot. It's all about disc choice.
Oh, that sweeping fairway from left to right. We're also watching a few of our spectators are out. And speaking of spectators, of course, we're so glad you could join us here this morning, taking in the first round of the 2019 Portland Open presented by Discraft and Bevel. Please go out, like and share and subscribe. Let everyone know you're watching live disc golf as we're kicking off the opening round here in Portland. Here's Katrina Allen throwing a mid and putting herself just outside circle one.
Smart choice. I mean, you really don't have to risk it on this hole. There's just so much out of bounds. It's more important to play it safe.
And I know that Katrina throws both beat up M3s and M4s. I'm not sure which one that was, but I'm guessing it was one of the two there by Katrina. Here's Vanessa. She's got a little more angle to this, and it looks like it should work just fine.
Wow. Taking the aggressive line, her disc is doing the work. It fought back a little bit to keep her away from that right hand out of bounds. Another park job.
Some of Sarah's favorite drivers: Vanish, Crave, Trace, and Relay.
I don't know about this one. Let's see if the grass can make it stick. She's inside the circle. That is just right for her to be able to have a nice putt. OB really won't come in too much play there.
Missy's caddy is also her husband off in the background as he's on caddy duty here for the weekend.
That's awesome to see. Missy is from New York, so across the country. It's nice to have a support system behind you, and all the drives are off and running, and we'll be back in a minute.
Passion is more than fiery emotion. It feeds the spark to start your day. It fuels your obsessions. It inspires your dreams. Passion challenges your fears, and it repeatedly bathes you in sweat until you are transformed into a new, better you. Disc golf isn't just your passion, it's ours too.
Before every round, tighten the wheel knobs. Remember to tighten both sides simultaneously using a clockwise motion. Only tighten the set screw once your wheel knobs have been tightened. To even more securely attach your umbrella holder, you can lower the handle by about an inch and then attach the clip just above the handle. You can turn the umbrella holder upside down to help secure the umbrella so it doesn't move from side to side.
Welcome back as we are rejoining our FPO feature card here during round one. Katrina Allen, maybe 6 to 8 feet outside of circle 1.
And again, drop off behind the basket toward out of bounds.
She gave it one of those half runs where she definitely was concerned about the OB that's deep of the basket, but still wanted to possibly find a way into the basket.
Ish.
Yeah.
Run-ish.
I can appreciate that effort. Yes. Missy, however, a little bit more aggressive, I think.
Yeah, she's got a better angle. OB isn't immediately behind. Whoa, and that was a fast putt. I mean, that went flying past, not hitting anything.
Yeah, she was certainly committed to it, and unfortunately, that might find the OB for Missy Gannon. Now, Sarah has a similar angle, but just another few steps inside that, maybe 1 meter less. For all my international viewers and followers out there, I'm gonna call that at 9 meters.
I would say that's pretty accurate.
I'm cultured that way, Val.
Yeah, I'm pretty good with 10 meters and in as well.
And Sarah, unfortunately, short, so not able to take advantage of her opportunity. Now, Vanessa's thinking, well, let's see if I can pick up at least one on the entire card. Vanessa currently in a tie for second prior to this putt.
Nice, giving us a little bit better view of this putt. You see Missy bringing it in from the out of bounds. I'm certain she went out of bounds after that putt. She's now putting for bogey. And there it is. Quite a swing on this hole. I mean, all the technicality of how much out of bounds happens on just a short hole really makes those scoring swings happen.
And Sarah's in for her par as Missy will go off and retrieve her previous attempt. We're moving over to hole 11, a par 4, Val.
670 feet. It starts off with a big drive, but even with the distance, this one's about placement. So wanting to land your drive right here so you can work your way through this super tight bottleneck part of the fairway. We might see players throwing that up and overshot to avoid all these trees, but look at how this drone is just working its way through there. This is the second landing spot that you want to land for your second shot as you make your way to the basket. In this area, the green slopes from right to left, so you could find yourself spiking in and rolling down the hill. I've seen that on quite a few shots, but this is a technical hole.
I think back to, I actually had competed myself here in 2014, and upon returning to this course, somehow I forgot completely about this hole, and now I remember why I forgot about it.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to probably put it out of my memory completely. A very difficult hole. Right now, it has relinquished exactly 0 birdies to the FPO field. In fact, it's playing at 5.6 total, which is 1.6 over par. So a very difficult hole as you were just describing it for us. And we're going to see if hopefully the women here can down a little bit on that average, as we'll hopefully see some pars or maybe even a birdie, but a challenging hole on 11 here.
I mean, the drive is the least of their worries, but you do want to get in a good position so you can throw over the trees. But man, we'll have a lot to talk about as the hole continues, I'm sure, but getting those drives out in the middle. is important.
And I even think back as we're watching a really good shot there by Katrina. I think back to some of the second shots back in the 2014 Worlds, just the spotters and the hustling around that needed to happen in terms of being able to locate your disc. That second shot is so difficult and so much danger. And sometimes part of the danger was just finding where your disc went.
That's right. It's so thick. So was this your last Worlds that you played?
No, as we're watching, Sarah's not quite flirting with that fairway, but the last World Championships that I competed in was 2015, and I can pretty much forget all about 14 and 15 from a playing standpoint. I did compete in 20 consecutive World Championships, a few of them in the amateurs, and then I think 15 or so in the professional division myself. But I gave all that up in 2016 to hit the booth.
Hit the booth and have the spotlight on calling golf.
Well, and watching you win your world title, another world title in 2016. There's our fourth drive. We'll be back in a moment.
Products shipped to your door every month. It's easy. 1. Pick your box size, the par, birdie, or ace. 2. Choose the brand of disc you would like. 3. Fill out the survey so we know exactly what you like.
And welcome back as we're watching Vanessa Van Dyken just play for her position. And I'm not sure that she was thrilled with her effort there. We'll have to see how that resulted for her. But again, just trying to find that specific spot you want to land in so that you can attack from there. Because if you're even 10 or 15 or 30 feet out of position on this hole, it's crucial to the line that you're going to have to try and hit on your next shot. So it looked like Vanessa was doing just that.
Yeah, there's no way you can even force it. It's just, I would say that little tightened gap is 15 feet wide, 20 feet wide. It is so narrow, but then it continues to go as a tunnel. So if you're going to hit that tunnel, you need to be lined up with it. And we see Sarah Hokom is in a really great position here, but she's really going to have to force this sidearm to stay straight. And choosing an understable disc is going to send her out of bounds as she caught the left-hand side of the trees there, dropping her in the out of bounds.
Val, this hole kind of reminds me of what we saw from hole number 3. And I know for those playing announcer bingo back there, I talked about a pinch point quite a bit on hole number 3. And I feel like you're faced with that exact same situation here. It really narrows, as we were just talking, that gap. And if you're out of that position, you may use a stroke just to get into position, or you may take an unnecessary risk.
Here's Missy throwing the over-the-top shot, like I was mentioning, and we see it drop down safe in the fairway. Really nice play. I think that is the best shot for the second shot, and I'm sure Katrina is going to do just the same.
And what's really challenging, and to help out our cameraman here, it's a little bit challenging sometimes on the catch as we're waiting for our second camera to be able to spot that disc coming in from midair, because they can't see Katrina at the moment. So hopefully we'll be able to see this one come in. I like the angle she's got on this.
Oh, and it looked like such a nice shot. There we see the disc landing Disclandia.
Hey, I see what you did there for that Bevel beer release a little later. But not only does this hole challenge our players, and playing is the single most difficult, it even actually challenges our equipment, which doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, we're going to see this on a few more holes as we finish up on this insanely challenging course. But I think this hole is the hardest one to film. I mean, players can barely find their way to the fairway. It's amazing that our cameramen are able to find our players and the disc. So here's Vanessa setting herself up in a better position. She's now throwing 3, but still a lot of work to do. It's always the hardest to throw a straight shot. Oh no, that could be trouble. And she gets the red flag as we see the spotter working his way, hits the tree, drops it short. It might be close. So this will be all dependent on whether she takes her lie from where Sarah's standing. It would be worth it to check it out for Vanessa.
Yeah, I think so, and that's exactly what they should do. And just as a little pro tip for everyone at home, anytime you're playing in a tournament, more often than not, the spotters have been instructed to simply just go out there and give you either an area or a general idea of either where the disc is or their best estimate as to where it was last in bounds. However, the group supersedes the ruling that you find by a spotter. I feel like the spotters are usually more often than not in place and can probably give you the best vantage and the best insight. However, if a group walks up and disagrees with whatever the spotter has called, they can overrule that and move forward unless it was somehow predetermined at the beginning of the event. Otherwise, the group supersedes any rulings or input from a spotter. So they're there to assist and guide, but they don't necessarily have the final say.
Sarah was pretty confident. Hers was out of bounds, so she's taking it from this side of the fairway, still having to work her way through the tunnel. She's really hoping to land. That's really nice. You can see that intense drop off and then a red stake at the bottom of that hill. It's a nice play, even with that sidearm. So the players are working their way through the tunnel to check out this shot from Vanessa, see where her disc landed. A shout out to the spotters out here on hole 11. They're going to have their work cut out for them this weekend if they continue to spot on this hole.
Yeah, hustling back and forth, trying to find. And then, as I was mentioning, as they were just starting this hole, not only when they throw over the trees, just there's going to be a little plinko action. There's going to be something. And then to go hunt down and find exactly where a disc lands is going to be very challenging out here. Later, we'll see how someone like Eagle McMahon attacks this one. And he's going to have maybe a different approach than what we're seeing here this morning. And Vanessa seeing her disc, what certainly appears to be out of bounds.
And that does make sense. Hitting the tree, possibly hitting that side hill and rolling back into the out of bounds. Now has a little bit of an upshot. See if she works her way back to the left, and very nicely done. A little bit of sigh of relief. I would imagine that she's nearly complete with this hole. It's just one of those holes you just want to get through. You want to survive. You just want to make it through without too much problem. Had a little bit here with this group, but I would say this is not a catastrophe. This is not blowing up their rounds by any means. It definitely has the potential to make that happen.
one of the great additions that we've seen out here on the Pro Tour in the last few events is the stakes, giving us a little bit better idea of just how far away from the basket the competitors are. And I know we mentioned earlier, even Dustin Keegan and Zoe Andyke, some of our professional players out there, helping get the course set up, along with Seth Fenley, who I know has been hiking around the country in the Disc Golf Pro Tour truck and trailer. So huge shout out to everyone, along with Jeff and his crew, Stumptown Disc Golf, everybody making this course and this event all prepped and ready to go. Talk about adding huge pressures and huge expectations to put this Pro Tour event on the map for the first year ever. Jeff has clearly proven himself as an experienced TD, hosting the Green Mountain Championships over the last few years, as well as our TD for the Pro Worlds last year at Smuggler's Notch. So what a great crew, and super excited to be here for the first time for the Portland Open.
It's a really tricky upshot for Katrina. You can see the slope on the right-hand side and the bushes, but then the trees really tight to the left-hand side. She was able to get herself up there with a look at a putt, not completely under the basket. Here is Hokom. She's got about a 45-foot putt. Looks like she's really lining this one up.
And she usually gets a little help with that leg kick, but not this time, as Hokom tugs a little bit on her hat. She just hasn't been on point here today. We've seen Hokom, once she connects on that putter, sometimes she's just unstoppable with that lofty putt, but not today, unfortunately. We'll see if she can pick that up in the back nine. And Katrina with a solid stroke there.
And that's that effortless putt that we saw take down the win at the San Francisco Open. Looks a little bit more confident now. It just, yeah, looks effortless. Taking the mind game out of it.
This is Vanessa Van Dyken is in for the double bogey 6. And we're finally off of hole 11, the challenge. What are we going to see on 12?
Hole 12, it's 400 feet, but this is the biggest challenge of this hole. It starts off, you got to get through this insanely tight tunnel. I think if you make it out of this tunnel, like literally a jump putt off of the tee, you're doing awesome. I think that first part just really hangs up players. But once you get out in the open, there's not much to contend with. There is OB on the right-hand side, but then the basket makes his way into the trees again. But for me, this is all about the tee shot, getting yourself out there. I think this hole is going to be played for par. It's tough if you want to go risky and really try and push the drive on this one. It is reachable, but I wouldn't.
Well, you said the biggest challenge on this hole as they were going through the tunnel. I'm thinking, well, maybe it's also the smallest challenge in that tunnel is so tight off of the tee here. And we're going to take a quick look at the leaderboard. Paige Pierce, after carding 5 birdies in a row on 11, 12, and 13, she's taken a single bogey stroke. So that still puts her in the lead at 3 under. Katrina Allen, who has maintained quite well, and is sitting at 2 under overall. And Vanessa Van Dyken, she's had some ups and downs, but she is in that 3rd place position right now. Paige Bierkes, Lisa Fakis, both sitting at even. And we're going to head back to hole 12 here. Here's Katrina Allen off this very narrow fairway. What a great flip-up shot there by Katrina. And not quite all the way pushing to the green, but That's exactly what you want to do here. I am confident that if you could say to every person in the FPO field, hey, can we just write down a 3 and then call it good for the weekend, all 3 rounds? I think everyone would say, yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah, I would be good with that. And after playing hole 11, there's not much relief off of this tee shot for hole 12. So Missy's made her way out the gap. And there's not much OB on the left-hand side. It does open up a bit, so I think she should be safe. I mean, there's the double Mando right off the tee, but there's no other option.
No, but it still is something that might haunt you or make you think just for a moment when you're throwing that tee shot. And Vanessa's is clear as well.
Yeah, and we can just see a little zoom in shot of Vanessa's face. She is very happy with that. Again, just getting through that gap. It's what these players are trying to do.
And a great flip-up shot as well by Sarah Hokom. We'll be back in a moment.
Disc golf is a relatively young sport, but its popularity makes it one of the fastest growing pastimes in the world. The PDGA is a not-for-profit, worldwide player organization dedicated to promoting the sport. Like a long drive off the tee, disc golf is soaring. So don't just be a witness to disc golf's explosive growth, be a part of it. Join the PDGA.
And welcome back. We are on hole 12 with Sarah Hokom throwing her second shot from the middle of the fairway. See if she can land herself in a good position, and that's going to be nice. You need to get into that opening to give yourself the best look at a putt. Missy hoping to do the same. Nice release point and perfectly executed upshot. That was really nice. You can really get into trouble when you land just past the basket or left or right. There's just so many trees that you have to contend with. Vanessa's got a really nice angle here. I mean, this hole just seems so routine, but you can get into trouble if you just don't, if you overthink it a little bit too much, or maybe you don't think about it enough, and get in trouble off the tee or near the basket, and bogeys can add up.
Well, and I'd have to say, if you don't make it out of the initial clearing, you are just in a world of hurt, because you're going to spend at least 1 or 2 strokes to find yourself back on the fairway, and then another stroke to get up onto the green, and then even when you're on the green, as we can see, you're not going to have a clear look at the basket. You're likely going to be straddling out one way or another. So this hole, I can't say enough how impressive it was that all 4 of them had the clean tee shots, because without that, there is no chance in walking away with a par.
And Katrina with the best drive out of everyone. Might have the hardest upshot. She's at circle 2's edge. It's a really tight angle.
And as you said, even though she was the closest, it looks like she had quite possibly the biggest challenge for it. And here she's going to be left with an obstructed putt. We'll see if she has to Well, she can line up what appears to be a straight-on putt. She won't have to rely on a straddle. But with a tree just off to the left or to the right, you just in your vision like that, you just don't think about it, and you can it like Katrina does. I mean, that's clearly the way to do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, who
Well
thinks about
said,
trees?
Terry.
Yeah, I mean, who thinks about those trees? Not Katrina. Great putt by Katrina and a good save there.
Yeah, I mean, she's just so confident in her putt. She's not even putting much thought into it besides just stepping up, getting into the routine, and cashing it. Let's see if Vanessa can find a window. Look at this view. Just reach towards the basket. And that's when those trees come into play. Just a little tight on her reach through. Little tight trees on her right. Just like that, a bogey happens.
It just did.
There's Vanessa tapping in for the only bogey on that hole. And we are on to hole 13. Par 4, 440 feet. So again, OB on the left-hand side and the right-hand side. So it's all about staying in that cut grass. This is really tricky, especially if the wind picks up. It's hard to land your shot in the middle of the fairway, but I think the players are going to want to, as we creep up with the drone, as it makes its way up here, this is the good landing spot. If you can land here, you're giving yourself a nice, easy upshot to the basket. It's a par 4, but if you land inbounds each time, this is a great opportunity for birdie.
Well, we will see. I'm going to go ahead and say I feel like this is one of the holes out here that it should be relatively easy to score on. Of course, you have to keep it in bounds, but as long as you do that, getting up and down should be pretty routine for all of the women here in the FPO field. I'm going to take a quick look as we head over to UDisc and see exactly how this hole is playing out, or maybe even Johnny can provide it once we get all up to date with all of our cameramen and all the scores in place. But hole 14, or correction, hole 13, yeah, 37% birdie so far from our women, and it looks like we're ready to go with Katrina on the tee.
And this is what you want to do. Playing your shot over the inbounds the entire way. Land yourself right in the middle. The riskiest part of this hole is the drive. You want to get the distance on it, but you have to be accurate. Even if you have to lighten up just a little bit so that your accuracy is a little bit more on point, I think that's a good play. Let's see what Missy does here. Holding it a little bit straight. So you can see the wind picking up at the trees.
And she has a ho-hum kind of response to that, if I'm trying to read that facial expression. As she heads back to her caddy.
I never played with Missy, but I think we would get along pretty well.
Yes, the two of you, I could see each of your demeanors somewhat lining up, that's for sure.
Hokom putting a full flex on the flight of that disc. Let's see where that ended up. We see the spotter moving just a little bit. I think she might have gotten hung up in the out of bounds. Last on the tee, Vanessa Van Dyken. I would say this hole does not set up for the sidearm. This is a backhand friendly hole. She's really putting a move on this.
And I like the position and the angle. We'll be back in a moment.
When you order from Dynamic Discs, we do our best from start to finish. First, we receive your order from the website and print out the packing slip detailing the specific items you selected. Then, your order is pulled directly from the shelves, packed in a cardboard box to prevent bending during transit, and quickly on its way to you with free shipping. For every purchase online with Dynamic Discs, you'll receive rewards points so you can save on your next order. We'll work with you to make sure you get the exact disc you're looking for. For anything from Dynamic Discs, Latitude 64, or Westside Discs, head to dynamicdiscs.com.
Before each round, inspect the clamps in the handle pole and tighten if needed. Many Zuka cart users have found the middle pole section to be the most effective place to attach it. Also, you can remove the pouch without undoing the Velcro. If you are flying to a tournament or disc golf vacation, the cart easily disassembles and packs into a suitcase and can be checked as baggage.
Welcome back. We are rejoining the cart as Sarah Hokom was pushing up the fairway. I think she was just trying to exactly determine where she wanted to find her next landing zone or where she was going to throw from. And then all of a sudden she disappeared. So, okay, she's off to retrieve her disc.
Yeah, she hung it off to the left-hand side, and then that blooming blackberry bush just caught it up. Those are inbounds. You would not want to play from them.
But do you want to eat from them? That's the question.
Yes.
Okay.
It's amazing. I mean, once summer hits and once the blackberries pop in this region, I mean, they're 2 inches, 3 inches long. I remember Worlds. I was making blackberry cobbler just about every night. It was amazing. So here is Hokom getting her meter relief. It's another tricky shot for a sidearm, especially with that side hill on the left-hand side. She's got good height, though.
Let's see if this one can push back, and it does. And Sarah Hokom trying to walk away from hole 13 by salvaging a par. And we'll see if the rest of the group can attack. Again, this came in at 37% of the field taking the birdies. That's 7 of the women out here earlier as they've all pushed through, this being our last group of the day. What's also worth talking about is the fact that we're right on the cusp of that 11 o'clock time frame we talked about earlier. And this is when we were supposed to see some of the rain push in. Of course, I'm not trying to jinx it or call for it by any means, but that is kind of the looming threat that we'll have. And our women may get through the rest of this round unscathed. I think we're going to definitely see some precipitation for the men, though, in this afternoon's round.
It is not warm. I just checked my phone and says it's 56 degrees right now. So when that rain comes, it will be cold and wet, and hopefully the wind doesn't pick up. But there was Vanessa, leaving her upshot just a little bit short. She should be able to capitalize on that, but that would be for birdie. It's Katrina going to the sidearm.
And that's about as effective as it gets.
That was pretty much perfect. That is why they call it when you pin it. But I think those blackberry bush on the right-hand side makes that hyzer upshot into the basket a little bit more difficult.
There's a trend that I've somewhat noticed is anytime we see Missy being aggressive, which is most of her shots toward the pin, in whether it's a putt or a long approach, it seems like high and maybe a little left is something that we've kind of noticed. Anytime she's gone past the basket by a considerable amount, it's because she's either been high or just left out of her hand. I'd love to see her correct that somewhat to the right so that she's falling and landing right at the pin. instead of, it seems almost as if she aims at the pin and then it finishes left. I'd love to see her correct that and move just a little bit to the right.
Yeah, that gets tough, especially when there's a lot more trouble around the greens. But that was for birdie for Vanessa. She'll have a drop in par. And I believe this will also be a...
I think she's going to be looking at a 4 here. This is going to be for par.
And as the players tap out, that was a 4 for Missy Gannon. Katrina cards a nice 3. Hokom was able to save her par, and Vanessa saves her par as well. And we're on to hole 14, par 5 for the women, 875 feet. So take a look at that course map because that'll give you the best idea. Starts out with a huge drive, landing yourself in that position where that thrower was throwing from, but there's 2 massive OB areas. So the second shot is all about placement. So I'd expect to see players landing short of that and then working basically a third drive as their upshot to the basket. Again, it's a par 5. So just land yourself inbounds and you'll have a good look at birdie.
Well, this one is playing at 5.07, so just a little bit above par, but coming in as the 12th most difficult hole out here on the course. And I think we have a correction to make. We don't want to birdies are hard enough to come by out there, and we don't want to take any of them away from anyone. So I believe Missy actually did card the birdie on the previous hole. So that approach shot that she had, I think we were trying to give her an extra stroke that she didn't need in there. So Missy with the birdie on the previous hole. And what a great battle that we have taking place. Katrina Allen and Vanessa Van Dyken right now, along with Missy Gannon. Yeah, it's just been awesome watching this unfold this morning. We're glad that you guys are here and have joined us for the opening round on the FPO side. We hope that you can like and share. Let everyone know you're watching live disc golf as we have Katrina Allen throwing her flip-up shot here off the tee, and that looks to be in really good position for Katrina.
She is safe, but she's pushing herself a little tight on that right-hand side. There's larger trees. The branches might come into play on her second drive. I'd like to see these players throwing a little bit more off to the left. It's going to be wide open. Here's Missy. She's going left. Let's see if this can sit down. Oh, and it finds its way out of bounds. This is going to be an interesting lie. But here's a spotter putting it. Okay, so she did cross the fairway up there. That's going to be fortunate for her. Again, another little bit of a tunnel right off at the tee. Not quite as daunting as we saw a few holes back. Nice placement from Hokom.
And Vanessa carding her first par in 6 holes or 7 holes back there on hole number 13. That was her first par in 7 holes. And this looks to be turned over off the tee. And it's going to push to that right side out of bounds, and it's come back in. We'll see you down the fairway.
I can throw this disc around the world in 1 shot.
Never play disc golf too far into the jungle. There may be cheetahs.
Someone on your card can't recall if they threw a 6 or a 7. It was probably an 8. See? Stay getting birdies, my friends.
What do you think, flatness and stiffness on this?
Somewhat flat, neutral stiffness. This is a good disc right here.
Purple and orange. Got it. 2 more.
Sick one.
Dude, I gotta get through all these today.
Cheers to a good day, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's good.
It's a hard day.
That's great.
And Val, I promised you I'd be wrong more today and the rest of the week, and here I am again. This is what we're seeing from this angle now, of course, that Vanessa Van Dyken did not come back inbounds enough. I thought she had filtered all the way back, and unfortunately she's OB, and she'll be throwing her third shot here.
And I doubt that she ever practiced from being over here. This is going to be... Ooh, glad I didn't call it. Let's see if she can land. We see in the second camera that she clears the out of bounds circle and lands inbounds. I did not expect her to go that risky of a route.
It was definitely a confident move there by Vanessa. And as we saw it just barely clear the out of bounds area, it was by no more than 5, maybe 8 feet. So she'll be throwing from there for what, excuse me, will be her 4th shot.
And yeah, I mean, risk reward on that shot. She knew she had to get more distance after losing the distance of going off out of bounds off the tee. I was going to say the safe shot was going to be that she was going to lay up in front of that first OB circle, but I guess we cannot call the shots before they're thrown. Good move by Vanessa, but here is Missy after going out of bounds. I would imagine she would be going for that opening just past that first OB circle.
Yeah, Missy, who has plenty of distance and then really not nearly the obstruction, or does she need quite the angle that Vanessa had? So she can just simply power this shot, and it looks like she's doing just that. And easily clearing with no problems there. I know we've mentioned, of course, earlier, Missy Gannon, one of Team Dynamic Disc players. We're also seeing Paige Pierce of Team Dynamic Disc in the lead. And with that, I want to give a quick shout out. Dynamic Disc, a huge supporter in helping make sure that we see this broadcast on YouTube this weekend, partnering up with the Pro Tour. We really appreciate everyone over at Dynamic Disc to go along with our presenting sponsors of the tournament in Bevel and Discraft. So thank you to all of the presenting sponsors and our supporters here this weekend as Sarah throws the little turnover, and that seems to be fighting back. She's in a similar position as we see from the other two.
That's as good as you can write it up on paper. Sarah's in really nice position right in the center of the fairway. She's going to have one more drive ahead of her to get underneath the basket. Let's see how much distance Katrina gets on this.
And that's a low line drive, but should be no problems for Katrina. I think that should be somewhat, well, we'll see if she makes it as routine as we think it is from that position. A great shot by Kat.
And good placement on the left-hand side. So she was able to get more distance without bringing that second OB circle into play. So using that left-hand side of the fairway was a good move on Katrina's half.
Now, I know it's been a number of years, and of course, all of our competitors who are traveling around go out, they see the courses, they get there a few days earlier, and they practice probably pretty intensely. But you have to wonder, someone like Sarah Hokom and someone like Katrina winning here, Sarah competing in the Worlds here, still you have to give them a little bit of a competitive edge as opposed to a Vanessa who has never competed at a high level at this course, or Missy who hasn't competed at a high level. Having that experience, I think there's a lot to say for that, even if it has been a number of years. Familiarity, maybe?
Maybe, but when this course was put on the stage for the World Championships and Women's Nationals, it was unlike many of the courses we were playing back in the day. I feel like this is just, this course is like the regular course that these players are put up against week in and week out. So much out of bounds. huge distance shots while you still have to be accurate. So I think that more courses are designed like this nowadays. So perhaps players like Vanessa and Missy have that much experience now.
Okay, so you're saying the mentality may carry over because they're playing other courses that are similar
I
more
think
often.
so.
Okay.
I mean, when this course was first put up, it is a Dave Feldberg design, and it was mimicked after how difficult Winthrop is, playing for the USDGC. Making a course like this challenging on the West Coast was his plan. But yeah, more and more the courses are just getting harder. The
Yes.
pars are climbing. I mean, again, par 66 for this Blue Lake disc golf course. And that was a nice move by Vanessa. Nice throw.
You mentioned earlier Dave Feldberg, one of the primary designers, I believe, out here. Also, I think we heard that this course was actually possibly landscaped or laid out with the idea of having a ball golf course, a traditional one of those. I think I call those boring and stick golf. No, okay. Anyway, one of the ball golf courses, but
I wouldn't even go there.
yeah,
Terry.
I know. I'm going to create more enemies as we see a great approach shot there by Sarah Hokom. But ultimately, when funding didn't go through, disc golf was proposed, and of course, we've been blessed with this tremendous course that's out here in the Portland area.
And it is just made for disc golf. It's awesome to see a piece of land like this not go just completely wildlife reserved, that disc golfers are able to use this as basically free recreation. And here's Missy, a high shot. Let's see if it gets down. She's happy to be safe, but that's going to be a big putt for her. And the farthest out of those second shots is Katrina Allen. Again, this is a par 5. Katrina is now throwing 3. She's got a good opportunity from birdie.
We'll see. She does need to get underneath those branches if she wants to get all the way to the pin, and it looks like she's just about pin high. So, as you said, on the dance floor here, looking at a birdie opportunity for Katrina Allen. Katrina right now momentarily has fallen back to Paige, who birdied hole 15 a few moments ago. So Paige sits at that 4 under par. Katrina sitting at 3 under overall. Vanessa, the next closest at even par. She's also here on the card, of course, along with our current world champion in Paige Bjerkes, who sits at even par. And just in also finishing up around Lisa Fakis sits at even. So looking forward to seeing if Lisa can continue some of this. We haven't seen her atop the leaderboard like I've expected her to be this year. So this might be one where she's getting a little bit back on track. Missy Gannon sits at +1 and in 6th place. We see quite a tie for 7th with a number of women there. 3 women all tied at 7th, including Jessica Weiss.
A little bit of a low ceiling. So just a layup for Missy.
I wasn't sure she knew how to do that. She has proven herself to be very aggressive and converting on many great putts with authority. So something might not have felt right for her there.
Sometimes you just gotta concede. And so this is a par 5, and then we finish this course with par 4 after par 4 after par 4, and finish with a par 4. So this course ends with some very challenging holes, but we have Vanessa Van Dyken. She's putting for par right now after going out of bounds off the tee.
It looked like it might have even slipped out of her hand, or maybe she just was a little tentative, but it seemed like it wasn't quite a clean release, and it didn't really have the height right out of her hand. It unfortunately didn't look good for her.
In a really good position. This is Katrina Allen for birdie. And that was also a birdie for Sarah Hokom. She played that hole really nicely. That's nice to see 2 birdies. This is Vanessa for bogey here. Having a little bit of struggles here in the back 9. Missy will also be putting for bogey here. So a couple strokes swing. We are on to hole 15 after that. Hole 15 is par 4, 780 feet. So multiple drives are needed on this hole. The first one starts out, you want a big crushing drive because you have the OB coming into play. Again, on the left and the right. So staying in the middle of the fairway is so important. So the first shot happens. Now you get tied up with these trees. So it gets a little bit more technical in the second half of the hole. So being able to work your way through the trees, get the distance, will give you a good opportunity for a layup. And this is a really tough birdie.
Well, it certainly is, and I think our stats are proving that. In fact, it's coming in as the second most difficult hole on this course. It's almost averaging a full stroke over par, 4.93, and yeah, just 7% of our field has taken birdies on it. In fact, that's just one player. Do you want to guess who that is?
I can't guess because I
You
just
can't,
saw
'cause you
it was
did see.
Paige Pierce.
Maybe not a real big shocker out there, but Paige Pierce, the lone birdie out of all of the women who have played the hole number 15 thus far. Paige with the lone birdie. So here's Katrina, and Katrina having a great round thus far, and this looks to be like a really good tee shot off the tee. Exactly what you're trying to do, and then we'll see just how aggressive she wants to be during that second shot. I feel like if you really just wanna bite this one off, you know, just one throw at a time, you can just play it for the 4 and really, you know, not stress yourself out too much. However, it's when you get a little bit aggressive, you could find that OB.
Yeah, I would say play this one for the par. I think that's the safest way. Just gets really technical on that second shot. Forces you to throw a higher shot. So it's tough to land it back into the inbounds. Tough to be accurate when you're letting the wind maybe come into play. It's easier just to keep the shots nice and low. Aim in the middle of the fairway. It's easier to land the shots more accurate that way. A nice overcast day here in Portland. I think we are getting very fortunate with this morning's round. A little cold, but it's pretty comfortable this opposite conditions.
And Missy finds herself in the center of the fairway. You don't see much action on the Disc Golf Pro Tour feather banner there. Relatively calm. Here's Van Dyken, and that's turned over, and it's not going to have enough to come back, or is it? Late flight, and unfortunately it doesn't. She'll get the distance, but take the OB stroke. We'll be back in a moment. Val will have to get you one of those new DGPT hats. As Steve Dodge's mom says, it's the best hat the Disc Golf Pro Tour has ever made. So we'll get you in one of those by maybe by next event.
I would appreciate that. These studio lights can get a little bright. There's Vanessa throwing 3 after going out of bounds off of the tee shot. We're going to make our way over to Sarah Hokom, who lands perfectly again in the middle of the fairway. She's going to have a few choices ahead of her. And this is a 780-foot hole. So another big drive is needed out of these players. Bringing it back in bounds. Nice shot from Sarah, avoiding all the trees by using the left-hand side of the fairway. Yeah, you can see these trees do create a little bit of a bunker as they're just dotted along the fairway in the second half of the hole. It really narrows in the fairway and the aiming point. We'll see if Missy Gannon's able to dial in the accuracy here and get the distance. Oh, and she lets go early. That is flaring out of bounds. She's going to be taking her lie from not very far off of that drive.
Yeah, and if there's a mistake to make out here, finding somewhere on the right side of the fairway is, dare I say, the much better mistake, because like you just said, she's really not going to move very far in terms of throwing her next shot, not gaining any of that distance.
And that was just a little bit of a slip up. Not able to hold on to the disc enough. And we see in that red shirt, we spotted Steve Dodge, coordinator and founder of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. It's on site.
Steve out there helping out. I believe also Lucy Burke is the official probably spotter here that we find. Lucy, a amazing junior player that I know is pushing to make another run at the junior world title. And I believe Lucy may just be 14 or 15 years old. And I think she's already hosted her own B-tier tournament out here in the Northwest. So a very, very active member of Team Innova and just an overall great ambassador for junior disc golfers and women disc golfers alike.
And it's so cool to hear.
Putting in her time out here.
She is. She's not only a great competitor and wanting to grow the sport that way, but she's putting in the time to volunteer. So we're seeing her out here right now. She's running in that light colored sweatshirt, but she's also at the Beaver State Fling every year, spotting no matter what the weather conditions. She's just excited to be out here and see the best players in the world play on some of her home courses. Tricky shot from Vanessa here. Can't really tell which side of the tree she's going to go on, but low ceiling.
Oh, she's asking. Oh, and she may have got a kick out at the last moment.
Oh.
Wow.
I better close my mouth as we head back to the booth. I mean, she hated that shot off the bat. I mean, pounding the ground with her back foot. It came out early, wasn't able to flip up, but she got lucky with a kick. I think she did stay in bounds.
That's what it looked like, as something had possibly on that left side kicked her back out into the fairway. A few moments ago, as we were, we were watching some of the women line up their second shots, you mentioned 780 feet. And all I'm thinking is, okay, so how in the world, what did Paige Pierce do to take the birdie? And then I realized, oh yeah, a few clicks, and I could see right on UDisc, it showed that her third shot, as in her birdie, was from inside 5 feet. So she clearly threw something into the fairway and then parked her second shot to have a tap-in birdie, 780 feet when it was all said and done. So I guess what I'm really getting at is thank you to UDisc for telling a story for us and assisting us with all of the live scoring and all of the details. If you're not able to watch or listen to Val and I We, of course, trust that you go out and find UDisc, maybe select your favorite player and watch along and listen or watch the stories unfold just by looking at the stats and the figures and all of the amazing details you can find out there on UDisc.
Whoa, and leaving it really short. She's on the line, but I believe that disc should have stayed safe, but it's going to be close to call.
It really is. There was a flash of white, and I don't know if Sarah's disc saw its light flash before its eyes or if we just did there, but we'll see if we can get in better position to find out if that stayed in bounds. And that's
Ooh.
going to be really tough to call. That doesn't look. Yeesh.
And it's tough with the angle too,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna call that out from this view.
That's what it does look like from here, but we know Sarah has the string, and I'm guessing that's going to come out and be the ultimate judge here in a moment. Now, not a lot of trees in this fairway, or on this hole, should I say, but Katrina's unfortunately found the most precarious one at the moment.
Yeah, spotted along this fairway. Making it tricky. I mean, she's really having to extend her stance. Going for the sidearm, it looks like.
Just playing out to this right side. And maybe not enough stability. She was playing for a little more of a flex on that to have it then maybe hyzer out back toward the pin as she was pinched up there against the tree. And here's a really quick, great statement. When people talk about either instant replay or some form of video evidence or even pictured evidence, here we are with a camera. And as you mentioned, Val, it's all about that angle. And we cannot definitively tell. So really what I'm saying is some people say, well, let's use video or let's use pictures. But just by the way you stand and take a particular video or a picture, doesn't always tell the story. So I'm interested for them to get the string out and give us a definitive answer. But that, to me, right now, like you said, I agree. That looks to be OB.
I love that Sarah Hokom's carrying around the string for these situations, because when competition is so close, you need to make those answers right on the spot. And if it's just a judgment call when it's that close, it's, some players can, take it offensively, things like that happen when calls need to be made. But if you have a string out there, you can make the answer right on the spot. String doesn't lie. So here's Missy, after going out of bounds on her second shot, goes again out of bounds, leaving it off to the right-hand side, having some trouble on hole 15. This is not turning out to be a great finish after Missy had a string of 5 birdies in the middle of the course.
And Vanessa taking full advantage of that kick out from the previous errant shot. And she puts herself right next to the basket.
Yeah, I'm sure she's thanking the disc golf gods right now for that little bit of help. We're working our way. Sarah Hokom's going to check out this lie. Need some of the players to check it out. So we do know that it turns. We can't really see where Missy is. There's probably a red stake. So determining where Sarah will be taking her lie. But Missy is up first. And that was putting for a 6. Struggling a little bit with the out of bounds. I'm going to check out Sarah Hokom as she's eyeing up her disc. So she's speed of play, giving Katrina the nod to go ahead with her putt.
And Katrina Allen is in.
Wow, that was big. Let's get a Zuka replay on that one. Wow, right in the heart. That was a big move by Katrina. And we're going to head over to Hokom, and the string is out, Terry.
Let's see if we can.
Gotcha. Here, I'll do it.
And unfortunately, in the booth, we couldn't for sure hear ourselves. You guys probably did hear at home. We had a little lockup in the booth as to if they called that inbounds or not. Okay, it's I'm now getting confirmation that it was determined out of bounds.
Putting for bogey. Not able to save that.
So it seems as if all technology is being slightly challenged here, along with a little bit of the play on hole number 15. Thank you guys for sticking with us as we are watching the opening round here at the 2019 Portland Open, presented by Bevel and Discraft. Valerie Jenkins along with Terry Miller, the disc golf guy. Here's Missy Gannon.
See, still smiling just a little bit, but that was a rough hole for her. Double bogey 6 for Sarah Hokom. That was a triple bogey for Missy Gannon. And we are moving on. I'm sure the players want to move on as well. We're on to hole 16, par 4, 525 feet. Another one where you just want to boom it off the tee. Again, OB left and OB right. Off the tee, you want to land in this cutout area. It's a bigger landing zone. The second shot, you can see the fairway narrowing in, but players are playing up and around and over all this. It does get a little bit more technical as we make our way to the basket, a little bit lower ceiling. So players have to shoot that tunnel gap. You have to throw that straight shot if you want to get close to the basket. And the Disc Golf Pro Tour put a nice elevated basket there just to add a little bit more challenge for us.
Well, Val, you can even go ahead and borrow my term. There's a pinch point there that, as we see, as this one just continues to funnel closer and closer when they're approaching the basket. And we're seeing a great battle unfolding right now. We have a couple of women that are trying to pull away from the rest of the field. Both Katrina Allen and Paige Pierce are sitting in that 4 under par. And then the next closest to them is where we see Lisa Fakis, Paige Bierkes, both sitting at even, and then falling just a few strokes off of that, Vanessa Van Dyken, Jessica Weiss, Amy Lewis, and Rebecca Cox. And I want a quick shout out, Amy Lewis, +2. She's from out here in the Northwest. She's +2 and has had 2 bogeys and 15 pars today.
Wow.
So,
that's incredible scorecard to look at.
Yeah, so not too much trouble out there for her. Just maintaining. We'll see what she can do on hole number 18 as she just has that to wrap up on. We see a few other of the women that are out there with just a hole or two left to play in Zoe Andyke and Madison Walker. They're both sitting at +3. They're through 16 holes. So it seems like it's very tight and compact up there. But right now, Katrina and Paige are trying to separate themselves from the field here in the early goings with a little more than 36 plus holes to play.
Right. And I mean, it's no surprise, really. I mean, they're two of the farthest throwing players. I mean, they know how to scramble when they need to, but I mean, it's really no surprise. But leading off right now is Katrina Allen, who won her world championship on this course. But it was actually in that final 9 a battle between her and Paige.
Yes.
So Paige put the pressure on, and that's kind of the position we're sitting in now. I mean, it's going to be a good battle that plays out this weekend.
Well, and it feels like that's, of course, kind of the battle we've seen now over a number of years. But even most recently, anytime that Katrina's been challenged, it feels like Paige has had some large gap to make up on her, and then will close the gap. Sometimes she's caught her and passed her, and a few times she's got close, but then fallen off. And Katrina's kind of on a little bit of a hot streak lately. We saw her play really well these last few weekends. And again, it's still early, of course, as we're just looking at the first round. But right now, they've got 4 strokes clear of the next position. And I think this course suits both of their game very well.
And the biggest improvement I've seen is out of Katrina's putting. When she doesn't win a tournament, she's not putting very well. Her drives and her upshots always seem to be on point. Same goes for Paige. I feel like Paige hasn't been putting that great. So in this last tournament at the San Francisco Open, Katrina's putts were just on point, and clearly that excelled her to win. So we're going to see what it comes down to around the putting green. And we see Sarah Hokom, very nice drive. She's right in that perfect landing zone.
Here's Vanessa Van Dyken, who had a really great start and has struggled as of late. She's had quite a roller coaster round, actually. She's only carded 4 pars throughout this round thus far. So Vanessa Van Dyken, we'll see if she can get back on that birdie train that she started on. And that's right out in the middle of the fairway. Should set her up for a great position for her second shot.
Gannon hoping to land in the middle. All the work needs to be done on those second and third shots. And she's happy with it. We're happy with it. And we'll see you in the fairway in just a minute.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Portland Open. Also, additional coverage sponsorship by Dynamic Discs. Here we have Discraft's own Vanessa Van Dyken, a new addition to the team to make her your teammate this year, Val.
It's awesome to see her throwing these discs so well. It's awesome to see any player where they have to change up their bag for a new season. And it's interesting to see how well they adjust. And as we saw in the beginning of the round, Vanessa is adjusting very well to her new Discraft discs. Here's Katrina. Let's see how she can work her way underneath the basket. Oh, and using that skip, landing perfectly right next to the basket. She's going to have a really nice chance at a birdie. Get an elevated basket. You can't ever count those until they're in.
And being off on this left side gives you more of a hyzer approach. We'll see if that makes it a little bit more comfortable or less, as that one seems to be wide.
Get up.
Oh, and it fights back. It looks like she's still inbounds. Normally, I would love a slight hyzer approach as opposed to a dead straight approach, but when the basket is kind of blind like this, I think it is maybe a little more advantageous to be center so that you can see the exact pin and where you're throwing to. And Hokom is pushing off to that right side, and she seems to be a bit frustrated.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough putt for her, but she just did not throw that with as much confidence, and she didn't hit her line like she needed to. And especially as it narrows into that hashtag pinch point, it's tough to, you have to be right in the middle of the fairway to give yourself an open putt. But she's going to have some trees and branches likely to contend with.
Well, they're moving down hole 16 again. Thank you guys for joining us. Later on this afternoon, after the final putt has dropped from the MPO side, everyone here in this area is going to be treated to something very special. Val, can you tell them what that is?
We are releasing our very first canned beer from Bevel Craft Brewing. So actually right now at 11 o'clock, we started the beer can release at our Bevel Craft Brewing tap room in Bend. But after that last putt of the MPO, we'll be releasing it here at the Portland Open. So that'll be really fun for us. The cans look incredible. Artwork was done by Jeff Wind out of SoCal.
1F Jeff, right?
Nope.
Yep.
Actually, part fish, part crayon is his Instagram handle. But I don't know, maybe that could have been your nickname for it.
That's
but
one of the nicknames I think back to Worlds from 2011, 1F Jeff.
There you go. Shout out 1F Jeff.
Yep.
But thank you to Jeff Wynn for making it happen for us. If you're out here spectating this weekend, make sure to stop by. We'll fill up a cup of tasty brew for you. And there was that tricky putt from Sarah Hokom out of the trees. I mean, really no other option than just to get out and lay up under the basket.
So how many wise guys are we going to have that will purchase a beer over at the tap room, which was just released in the last hour, and then make the 3-hour trip down here to Portland? If they're coming from Bend to here, they could actually show up and kind of spoil it for everyone else that has to wait until about 6:30 tonight. That'd be pretty tricky, right?
That'd be pretty amazing. I would love.
Let's throw down the challenge.
Yeah.
All right.
I got a free something on the line. I'll give out some free merchandise.
Yeah, if you're in Bend and you pick up your first 4 or 6 or 8 pack or whatever it might be of the beer, and then you come here and you beat everyone else to the punch, so to speak, Val's got a special prize for you. We'd love to see the support.
Vanessa not able to capitalize on that. We're going to see if Misty's able to get this in the basket for a birdie.
The PDGA has ignited the passions of professional and amateur members, paving the way for generation after generation of diehard players. Disc golf isn't just your passion, it's ours too.
We're back with Vanessa. That she is now putting for par. Nice putt.
Yeah, great to see Vanessa convert there.
First one to drop the putter in the basket here on hole 16. Missy Gannon. This will be for par. And we see Katrina walking up to her lie. This would be for birdie. And it is. Mark it. We see Sarah Hokom walking up. She'll also have a par with a style point. We're moving on to hole 17, and this was a rough one, so hang with me. Check out that course map. There's a lot of trees on this hole. It's unlike any other hole on the course. I mean, most of them are wide open. You've got the tall grass, but this one is just so many more trees, so much more technical. It's another survival hole. So you're finding your way, hoping to land. I like to land on the right side of the fairway, but the drone is riding the left side the entire way. If you land on the right side, it's just a little bit more open for each and every shot, but we're making our way to the basket on a side hill. There's dirt, so it's going to be a fast green. So coming in hot on your upshot could result in some rollaways. And after you just fought your way, I mean, what was it?
Like 1,000 feet.
Only 530 or 530 feet. But after you fight your way all the way there, you just want to get it over with.
Yeah, I have to admit that even though we're sitting here in a booth just a few miles from the course, after the long 2-hour and 45-minute round that they're already invested here, you get to this hole, and this is just a monster. It's a beast in every sense. We are hearing a little bit of maybe a backup that might be taking place, so we'll see if that factors in or how long that might actually cool our players down. We've had really good pace up until this point. So we have just 2 holes left to finish out the opening round here, and we'll have to see exactly where everyone's at and how that's going to go. I'm going to go ahead and just assume, before I've even looked at UDisc, I'm going to assume that this is playing as one of the tougher holes out here today, as hole 17 comes in as the 4th most difficult. We've had exactly 0 birdies. So that's not good.
Yeah, I mean, it's a par 4. I can't even dream up how to get there and get into the basket in 3 shots.
Yeah. Well, it's we're going to see a longer tee from the MPO side this afternoon. We'll see how they attack it as opposed to what we're seeing here on the FPO side. But again, 530 feet with plenty of obstacles, and yeah, it's not exactly something you're looking forward to as you're closing out a round. You're thinking, well, I'd like to kind of coast this one in, or just finish on a strong note. Of course, they want to do that, but they're going to have to work for it. With, again, 0% of our field has taken anything below par. 53% at par, so that's pretty good. But we've clearly had a few women that have struggled here throughout here. Unfortunately, our highest number has been a double bogey. So we'll see how everyone kind of fights through hole 17.
And those are fully played out shots. That's
Yeah.
not OBs racking up, I wouldn't imagine.
No.
You just have just so many trees. And playing through this whole course this entire time, it's all these distance shots and a lot of OB that comes into play. So you do have to be accurate where you land, but you're not necessarily aiming for a route. Yeah. So when you get closer to a lot of the baskets here, accuracy like that does come into play, but this really brings that wooded golfer out of these players. And yeah, just landing in a good spot. I mean, a couple inches makes all the difference, whether you're pinned behind a tree or you have an open line to the basket. And it looks like Katrina Allen is stepping on the tee box, but I'm not sure if the fairway is clear just yet.
Well, and Katrina, of course, with the distance and accuracy that she has, probably has to wait longer than most whenever she has the honors on the tee, because she can throw so far. So we're going to see, and it does look like she's ready to go. And here we are. We're off on hole 17. She's playing that to turn over, and it gets hits one of the earlier trees there.
There is a route off to the right side. So Katrina played the left hand, but I remember in Worlds throwing up that right-hand side. The branches look a little low these days, so I'm not sure that's the desired route anymore. Hokom using that sidearm. See if she chooses the left-hand side of the fairway to go up. And yes, she does.
She keeps it clear, easily getting past the tree that we saw Katrina hit during her tee shot. And that was arguably Sarah's best drive of this entire round. It was perfect.
And it was huge. I mean, got good distance off of that. So that just makes it just a little bit more easier. And here's Vanessa. Did I just see a couple of raindrops? I hope not. These players are almost done with their round.
Oh, and that's come out early on the left side, and that's probably going to be trouble for Van Dyken. As a little sigh of frustration, maybe. And here's Missy Gannon. Missy has proven. She's very aggressive with her putting stroke. She also has some great distance, so we'll see if she can take advantage of that. Clearly, the accuracy, though, being paramount on this drive.
So just on the other side of the road, you can see the cars up top. That's the Columbia River. So that shows how close we are to that river. Nice shot from Missy. She's going to be in a really good position, and we'll take a break and we'll meet back up with the players in a minute.
Welcome back as we are rejoining our feature card Terminal of the Disc Golf Guy along with Valerie Jenkins. We're watching Katrina Allen with a patent pending stance, and she hits a tree no more than 50 feet, but it does continue to carry for her. So she's very fortunate in that regard. And it may have even kicked out into the, we'll say, the more open portion of the fairway. So although she wasn't trying to play out to that right side, this kick might have been so bad that it was good, so to speak.
I think so. I think if she kicked far enough, she's going to be in a nice open position. But we're going to see the other players having to contend with the trees still. Missy is on the right side of the tunnel. Vanessa's deep in the woods on the left. This might just be a pitch out for her. We can't see her from this view, but there she is.
Yeah, she seems quite buried in there. I'm not sure she's going to have a lot of other options other than what you said, Val. It's just to simply pitch out. Speaking of options, we've already been flooded with a number of people that are saying, well, yeah, but that's great. You guys are offering this special beer release. How can we get our hands on it? And Val, it's true, due to local laws and just with regard to your brewery and everything else, people need to physically be here to come participate and get in on the canned fun. You can't just ship beer anywhere you want in the country at this point, right?
No, it's a limited release. It's a special beer brewed up specifically for this tournament. But we do the release in Bend and in Portland. So you got to travel to try it, is what we always say.
I love it. Well, so that's the other more polite way of saying stop texting us, begging us for you to send you 4 or 8 or 20 cans.
Thank you, Terry, for saying that, because I have not responded to many messages like that throughout just this week as we hyped up the promotion for the can release. I mean, people want it all across the country. They want us to ship it to across the world, but sorry, not at this time. We're not able to do it. We're busy commentating disc golf tournaments and slinging beer when we can. So come on out to these events when you see the promotion for beer releases or special releases. You want to be a part of the action anyways. It's fun to hang out and be around the top players in the world.
Well, and speaking of being around the action, so Paige Pierce has, I believe, officially completed her round, and she's come out to hang out with her teammate. Paige is now in at the 5 under, and she's watching Missy Gannon. And spoiler alert, Paige has her own. We're going to watch Missy throw the shot, and unfortunately, it does hit a tree. Paige has her own series of videos called Nice Line. And this is the exact situation that Nice Line is predicated upon, where she'll watch someone else on a card throw a particular shot, and then she'll want to kind of break down what shot they threw and why they threw it and how they executed it. So she's out here doing recon for her own her own series right now, and supporting her good friend in Missy Gannon and teammate. But Paige currently tied for the lead with Katrina Allen, sitting at 5 under par. So I can guarantee we will see Paige on that lead card tomorrow, regardless of how this group finishes out. We're going to see Paige in our featured lead card tomorrow morning.
I think Paige can just post up on this hole. It's most technical. You're going to have to pick really tight lines, and talk about a shot. Vanessa Van Dyken worked her way up the fairway. She's going to be putting from there.
Yeah, what a great shot by Vanessa. And we see that back just like we saw on hole number 11. Not only does the course challenge our players, unfortunately, this is clearly a spot where it's challenging even our cell phone signal that helps transmit the signal back to the booth and to Johnny V in Milwaukee. So thank you guys for sticking with us. As Hokom with a standstill forehand fighting out. And she's in the opening, and hopefully she should have a relatively clear up and down, or at least a little bit easier attempt to get up and down. I don't want to throw that clear word around too much, but
No.
she should be able to see the basket and go from there. So very exciting. Again, thank you guys for joining us as we are here for the opening round of the 2019 Portland Open. Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, along with Valerie Jenkins, and lots to do this weekend. We saw you at the festival. The Rose Festival kicked off last night. Fireworks. Elaborate just a little bit on the display of fireworks that we saw last night.
That was incredible. Yeah. I mean, there were so many moments where I was videoing or taking pictures. I'm like, oh, this is the grand finale. This has to be it. I mean, it's been going on for 20 minutes or so. And I mean, it just kept happening. I mean, it was almost like multiple finales were happening, and it was all to music. And yeah, that just kicked off the Rose Festival, which always happens Memorial Day weekend here in Portland. I did hear from locals that when it's Rose Festival, it rains.
Oh, okay.
Predictable, but thankfully we got to see the fireworks.
Yes.
We didn't get rained out there. And we also got to go on stage. There was a band performing. We had to throw out discs to the crowd. If you follow along on Instagram, Portland Open DG did a little bit of a live video from us on stage. So that was pretty fun.
Yeah, it was great to see you and Nate, along with Ricky Wysocki, out there kind of getting the crowd pumped up and letting everyone know that disc golf, professional disc golf at the highest level, being played here in Portland out at Blue Lake Park this weekend. It's great to be here as we're watching Missy Gannon throw her next shot. And that one hit a tree and kicked left. So it didn't quite get the distance that she had intended for, but she should have a putt to hopefully convert and possibly just move off of hole number 17. She will be putting for par with that, and Missy's had quite a roller coaster round.
So you see Katrina searching a little bit here. And now she's found her disc. So she's on the right-hand side of the fairway. See if she can find a window. But she's been able to gain distance on each of these shots. So it's not too far of an upshot from here, and it looks wide open. So that's a nice, going to be a drop in par for Katrina.
No,
I missed the shot.
Yeah, well, she had unfortunately hit early off of the tree and then hit the second tree during her second shot. So she's been kind of fighting her way through this hole. And I think that's why yeah, exactly. And that's why she'll be putting for bogey from inside circle one. But I do want to give a quick shout out. I believe Katrina's mom is out there watching live, and I've said it for many years now. One of my favorite parts of being any part of a live broadcast is knowing that parents tune in and watch as their children or loved ones are participating live on our broadcast. So glad to have Kat's mom out here taking in the action. And guessing some of Paige's family is also frequently out on the board and watching throughout the weekend as well. So looking forward to all of the friends and family that can't be here with us today. Along for the ride. Disc Golf Pro Tour and live disc golf. What more could you ask for?
And I know my mom's out there watching me.
Oh.
Not playing, but yeah, she enjoys
she's not watching me. I see how it is, Sharon. I see.
Aw, she's one of your biggest fans, Terry.
All right, here is Missy. Let's see if she can convert on one of her long putts here. Oh.
I'm wanting it to happen, but thankfully that just rested right next to the basket. So easy drop in from there. We're gonna see where Vanessa's shot ended up. I mean, this is her second shot. Third shot. I'm so lost, Terry. And I look at the expression on your face, and that explains it all.
You ever think I'm less lost than you? Then we're both in trouble.
So here is Vanessa for par.
And cans it. Great putt by Vanessa Van Dyken.
She's happy to be done with this hole. Just one hole left in the first round of the Portland Open. He has hung in there. It's been a rough second half of this round, but her game has had these huge highlights to it throughout the round. And so I expect to see her continue to excel throughout the weekend.
And Missy Gannon taps in. We're going to take a look at hole number 18, Val, and then we'll talk about who we're going to see tomorrow. But first, what's the plan here?
Hole 18, it's 600 feet. It's a par 4. See on the map, you got the triple Mando right off the tee, but that doesn't even come into play. Players should not force it off of this drive. It's all about just crushing it out there as straight as possible, possibly even landing a little bit more to the right. Then you have this dog leg turn, low ceiling under these branches, another drive to get under the basket for your upshot. There's OB that comes into play now as we get closer to the basket. You can see that Keen Wall sponsoring the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So it does get a little tricky close to the basket. But yeah, it's not the most exciting hole 18. Players, I think, are just playing for that par.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see as they move on. But what we're going to see tomorrow, I guess with almost absolute certainty, is we're going to see Paige Pierce, Katrina Allen, Lisa Fakis, and Paige Bjerkes on our lead card tomorrow. Rebecca Cox is already in the clubhouse. So unless Vanessa Van Dyken aces it, I think our lead card for tomorrow is going to be set. So really no surprises there. We've seen some great battles already on this card. Of course, just moving through our first 17 holes with the final hole to play here today. Looking forward to a really exciting day tomorrow as well. And of course, we invite you to join us at the exact same time. We'll be live at 9 a.m. Pacific and whatever other times those are for the rest of the country.
Noon Eastern.
Sure. Okay.
That's all I know.
And then figure it out everywhere else in between, as I'm sure you guys are always asked to do. And that is Sarah Hokom pushing off to that right side. I think being on the right will set up quite well for her because that's going to give her yet another forehand hyzer approach. So her playing off to that side is exactly what she's trying to do.
Man, and Vanessa's ponytail really shows the expression and how much power she gets on that drive. And again, turning it over a little bit. We've seen that happen on quite a few drives for her today. She'll be in a good spot still.
like the angle. We'll see if that finishes just a bit for Katrina, and it does. She's going to be safe and inbounds. We see a little bit of kind of the crowd and gallery and the festival-like area that's happening. That's where Bevel and some other vendors are going to be set up. There's food carts and vendors that are going to be selling discs and disc-related merchandise. So if you're out or can come out to the area, please do so. And we'll see that might fight, and it does in fact stay in bounds. That's a great looking shot there by Missy Gannon.
I practice a lot. It's a vice. An escape from stress, from work. It's my chance to just get away during the week. It's like meeting up with an old friend, you know? I'll never get tired of that sound.
Welcome back as we are closing out round number 1. Looks like Reed Friskira on the bag, as I think he has been all round. I think we may see Reed during our FPO feature card later today. And Vanessa is short of circle 2. She's probably about 100 feet short of the pin.
Here's that good angle that you talked about with Sarah's sidearm. Does open it up a lot more on the left-hand side. Can it come back?
Get around the tree. Oh, if it would have just stayed clear or somehow got behind that tree, I think it would have had the skip and then brought her at least inside circle 2, maybe even all the way to circle 1. But she does just barely kiss off the tree, but manages to stay in bounds. I'm not sure if those limbs will impede her next throw, but should at least walk away with the par here.
We can see that the branch is swaying a little bit there. The leaves are really blowing. The wind is starting to pick up. So players like Katrina, as we see her lining up, if you want to get that birdie, you better put that upshot next to the basket for your putt. This is a nice angle, but carrying it out over OB the entire way. Does it have enough? And gets saved by the keen wall on the backside of the basket. A lot more action. I don't think she knew how close that was.
Yeah, she might be happy that she's doesn't have the stressor of seeing how that landed or what happened there. But Katrina Allen saved by, as you said, the keen wall, staying just barely in bounds. And she'll have a look at birdie from behind the basket.
So from here, Missy's got a straight shot up the gut. She's got a really good opportunity here for birdie to finish the round, but keeps it a little high.
Sit.
Oh my, I think that skipped off the top of the wall. I mean, that really shot into the out of bounds.
It did, and she's gonna get the red flag, unfortunately. She looks like she'll be relatively close to the pin, but out of bounds for Missy Gannon. You saw her walk away. She still had a smile on her face. So we've talked about it a few times, Val, that we have to really commend everyone's attitude. Certainly some shots that got away from our players today, or a few misfires or miscues, but it seems like everyone's been in pretty good spirits throughout this entire round, which is great to see here in the early goings. And we're going to start wrapping things up here in just a little bit. I want to give a quick shout out to Mitch, Todd, and Joey, our 3 cameramen out there today hustling around. Of course, all of the staff and all of the crew that are working so hard to bring us this Disc Golf Pro Tour event here in Portland. And Vanessa Van Dyken will be throwing from what looks to be about 100 feet to the pin and right next to it. So Vanessa's roller coaster of a round is going to soon come to a close. It looks like she's going to have a par to finish out. And as we close out, Val, we'll quickly give everyone a little insight as to what's happening on the MPO side when we finish things up here in a few moments. But thank you guys for tuning in and watching the live action as we're about to watch Sarah Hokom throw her 3rd shot here on hole number 18.
Ooh. And that's that high and left that you were mentioning out of Missy Gannon. That's not the side you want to miss on. Sarah's still going to have a tester putt, especially on an elevated basket. Even though Missy was still smiles after that shot, she might not be so happy as she's going to climb into the blackberry bushes there to get her disc back. So they got a good eye on it. They're going to give her a lie at this point. Mark the lie, go for your putt, and then worry about your disc. There's no reason to climb in there right now. But first, Katrina Allen's marking her lie after getting saved by that wall.
Yeah, and Katrina right now could essentially match Paige Pierce's round almost identically in the sense that this would be her 7th birdie if she can convert here, and this would push her to 5 under in a tie for first place. And she's done just that. Wow.
That was a 40-some foot putt to finish the round with a birdie.
No big deal if you're Cat.
Wow. Nice putt. Great round from Katrina Allen.
So as I said, both Kat and Paige finish hole 18 with the birdie, and they have 7 birdies and 2 bogeys apiece, and they are tied atop the leaderboard at 5 under par. Here's Missy Gannon. And just squeak it in there. Missy Gannon wraps up her round.
It's always those last putts that you think about. You know, you had so much happen during the round, but it's always the last putt that you think about. Really cherry on top. And there we go. Sarah Hokom for her par. That was a par save from Missy as well. Vanessa will be dropping in her par, but that was Katrina Allen with a huge putt for a birdie to finish this first round of the Portland Open. That was great golf.
It really was. And we saw, a little bit of that struggle that we had. Vanessa Van Dyken at one point had 3 or 4 birdies. I believe she had 3 birdies in the first 6 holes, was playing really clean. And then the middle of the course got to her. And quite the contrary, when you're looking at Katrina Allen's middle of the course, starting on hole 6, on holes 6 through 16 is where she picked up 6 birdies and had 0 bogeys in that stretch.
Yeah.
She took the bogey on 17, but then followed up with a birdie on hole number 18. So her and Paige Pierce, neither of them had anything going in the first 6 holes, and then they did everything, all of the work after that. So I think that's something to watch unfold. Meanwhile, Lisa Fakis kind of in a similar situation. She's in that tie for 3rd right now. She had no birdies in the first 5 holes, and then took a birdie on 6, and then just kind of maintained from there on out. So we see Lisa and Paige Bjerkes. They're both sitting at that even par, 5 strokes off of the lead from Paige and Katrina. Rebecca Cox sitting at +2. The Ohio native, Jessica Weiss, Amy Lewis, Vanessa Van Dyken, all sitting at that tied for 6th, and then rounding out our top 10, Madison Walker, Haley King. Any thoughts as we start to wrap things up here, Val? Any really prolific, crazy ideas or thoughts here?
Well, don't set me up for something like that. I don't know if I have been prolific. But that was a really fun round to watch. This course is incredibly challenging. Par 66. I expect these players to get off to a better start tomorrow. I think the front half of this course is really where the birdies happen. We saw a string birdies just get strung up in the middle of the course, but the first part of this course is a little bit easier. So expect to see the players get off to a start right off the bat, and then the teeth of this course really chomp down at the end. And so maintaining that good golf, keeping it in the middle of the fairway, staying away from the out of bounds, that is going to be the gameplay.
All right. Well, and tomorrow we're going to look at a very different day weather-wise. Very, very fortunate to escape this beginning of the tournament from any kind of rain today. Tomorrow, we're not looking at rain, but we're looking at nearly a 20-degree increase in terms of the temperatures out there today. So we're in the 50s now, mid to high 70s tomorrow.
Really?
We'll see how that's going to affect them. I know we're going to have some humidity, for the area that we're in. So we're going to see how that plays out as well. So a great start, as we said, Katrina Allen, Paige Pierce. They will be featured tomorrow along with Lisa Fakis and Paige Bjerkes rounding out our lead card. So we're going to close things out again. Mitch, Todd, Joey, all of our great cameramen out there hustling around. I want to thank Johnny V at the controls back in the Milwaukee studio, Steve Dodge, Jeff Spring, all of the staff and crew here at the Portland Open. Of course, Discraft and Bevel Beer. Thank you guys so much for everything you guys are doing to be our presenting sponsors, and our YouTube coverage sponsor in Dynamic Disc. Thank you guys as well, along with all the other supporters and sponsors of the event.
And thank you, Terry. I'm off the hook for this afternoon, but Nate is going to be in the studio with you for the men's round. So appreciate your help getting us a little free time to go pour beer and chat with our fellow competitors.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a bad afternoon. You get to skip out of doing commentary, and you get to go serve your delicious beer. That sounds like a great afternoon here on Memorial Day weekend. So for all of us at Smashbox TV and the Disc Golf Pro Tour and the Portland Open, that's Valerie Jenkins, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. We're going to close out with some highlights. We'll see you at 3 p.m. Pacific time for our MPO opening round. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smashbox.